All right, what's up? We are up. Good evening, good evening. Enjoy our little 30-second countdown for the show tonight. Give us a couple seconds while we just kind of iron out a few technical things. We're just making sure that Denise can get our YouTube link posted to Facebook. I am currently in Facebook jail, so all of my controls on my personal page and through the Freethinkers page, I cannot access, so I can't do anything. So thank you, Denise, for helping me and co-piloting tonight and making sure that we are up and visible. Q is on vacation, so shout out to Q. I hope you're enjoying your wonderful week away from reality. So tonight, if you want to join in the show, there is a StreamYard link obviously posted on our Facebook Freethinkers page. It is also in the live chat on the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Freethinkers Worldwide. So the StreamYard link is different every week. It's not the same thing as Zoom. It's a new link every week. So if you want to get on the show tonight and engage in our conversation live, go to the Freethinkers page on Facebook. At the top of the page, Denise posted tonight's information with the StreamYard link. If you're interested in just watching us tonight, just supporting us by listening or engaging into the comment section, you can also do that on the YouTube channel because that's where we are streaming to. So if you see the post on the Facebook page, the Freethinkers Facebook page, you'll see it's obviously a little bit different. Usually you just see our video going live. We're not doing that tonight because we're shooting it over to YouTube. So when you click on that link, it'll take you directly to our YouTube video, and from there you can chat live. All of the comments that are posted in the YouTube live chat section show up on our chat section here too, so we can totally see what you are posting if you are engaging with us over on YouTube. So I'm looking over to my right a couple times just to make sure everything is up on our YouTube channel. So far everything is good over there. Shout out Kevin, I see you over there holding down the comment section.
Kevin.
And of course, if you would, please share. Continue sharing. So a little bit different tonight, obviously. We haven't had Denise on the show for a while, so I'm so excited that you are joining us tonight, helping hold down the fort. I think we have a great conversation brewing for the evening. It's like the more I thought about like what we talked about this morning, I was like, there's so many places this can go. And there's just, and then just today, there's, been things that I've read just in the news, of course, that I was like, damn, this is exactly what we're talking about. Like, how far back can we go? What is the reach of culpability? What is the reach of somebody being responsible for something happening? So what is Freethinkers? We meet every Tuesday night. We go live at 8:05. We do this like I said, we do this every single week, and it's just an open dialogue. We just have a group of self-proclaimed free thinkers who enjoy having conversation with one another. We talk about hot topics. We talk about controversial topics. We talk about relationship topics, you name it, political, social, everything. We talk about all the topics. We generally have a passion for having conversation, and so sometimes, we can get a little warm in these conversations, but at the end of the day, this is adult conversation. So I always throw the warning label out there, for language, of course. Totally up to you if you want to have your kids listening to our show or not. It's not bad information, but you're going to hear adult words. So, just prepare yourself for that. If you do get into the conversation tonight, just, make sure that you be mindful of your background noise because these suckers do pick up everything. And if we get a, decent sized group of people having a conversation, it can be a little bit hard to hear sometimes. So we generally will go to about 9:30. We call it parking lot conversations when we go over. So sometimes we go over. You can feel free to leave at any point, though. You don't have to stay for the whole conversation. If you are going to get into the conversations tonight, it would be best if you joined in the beginning versus the middle or the end, just so that you know where we are. Other than that, that's pretty much what to expect with what we do here every Tuesday. Again, I appreciate anybody who supports us, anybody who watches us, anybody, our new subscribers to the YouTube channel. Like, totally stoked to have some new subscribers over there. We do want to build this thing, so your support and you sharing this page makes a huge difference. So with that being said, our topic for tonight is accountability versus responsibility versus culpability versus just who's liable? Is anybody liable? And this spurred off of, I've been like really bothered by the little boy, Ethan Crumbley, who, in Michigan, went to school, shot up his school, and parents were totally aware that this incident was basically brewing. 2 hours before the kid opened fire at school, the administration at school had pulled the parents in, had a conversation with them, raised red flags, and 2 hours later, a kid goes on a shooting rampage at school. And then, of course, if you followed any of the story, then you've obviously also seen that an arrest warrant was issued for the parents last week for involuntary manslaughter, I believe. It wasn't involuntary homicide. It was involuntary manslaughter, I believe. And they were, on the run, I guess for like the weekend or whatever, ducking and dodging for the weekend, and have been arrested. Well, of course, since that has taken place, there's been a lot of things I've seen online of people who are like completely against the parents being held liable for this kid's actions. So where's the best place to take this conversation to? A group full of people who like talking about a lot of different shit. So it's spurred from there. And then as Denise and I talked throughout the day of just different scenarios, we've got a couple different scenarios that we want to present to the conversation. So that is essentially where this conversation kind of was born from, and that's the direction in which we're going to go tonight. Is just the responsibility, the precedent, how far does this go? First thoughts, anything, Denise? Anything you want to add to this before we really get the conversation going? Tiara, anything you want to add before we get going?
I do want to say there was something that you mentioned about the mother also knowing ahead of time and being in support of said mission.
Say that again?
Wasn't the mother in support? There were text messages or something you
said? Yes. So like 1 o'clock-ish So 1 o'clock is when they had their parent-teacher conference. Earlier that morning, I believe it was, he was caught in class by one of the teachers, like looking up ammunition and shit online during class. So teacher red flag, of course, says something to him, says something to the parents. The school had been trying to call the parents and let them know about the ammunition thing. And then, of course, I think there was some drawings or something that they also found that clearly were like, okay, this fucking kid, he may have a plan of action here, right? So the school tries to reach the parents. The parents never answer the phone. But as they went back and pulled, I guess, phone log, they saw, like, when the whole incident had initially happened, they were trying to call mom. Mom was fucking texting son, I'm not mad at you, just don't get caught. So that was before their 1 o'clock meeting when they had to come into the school and talk about the issues, to then 3 o'clock is when the shooting takes place. So, I can't say mom knew boy was going to go up in there and shoot the school up, but she was pretty fucking well aware of the fact that there's some serious red flags here.
Well, where did he get the ammo?
So the dad, Black Friday, so what, November 27th or whatever? Black Friday, dad went to a sporting goods store, purchased a gun. And of course the boy's like, what is he, 15? So I mean, obviously it can't be in his name. So it's, the dad legally purchased the gun. And then I guess like the day of or the next days or days following, Buddy is posting online all this shit about his new gun and my new baby. Couldn't call it his gun because again, he's underage, but like, I believe that the mom even alluded to the fact that it was going to be his. So got the gun from dad. Dad purchased it legally at the store. Gave kid gun. Kid had, open possession of gun. And when they had the meeting with his family at 1 o'clock, it's just like the more shit comes out, the worse it gets, in my opinion. But when the family had the meeting at 1 o'clock with him and the school people, his fucking gun was in his backpack. They never checked his backpack. They never checked his locker. They didn't do shit. They sent him back to class because the parents didn't want to take him out of school that day. I don't know about y'all, if y'all ever been kicked out of school, but it was never a fucking option. When you get kicked out, you get kicked out. Whether your parents want to take you home or not, you can walk if you want to, but you cannot be on campus.
Yeah.
So they never checked his backpack, never did any of those things. Sent him back to class after the ammunition searching, after the drawings that were red flags, after not being able to reach the parents earlier, like, and then 3 o'clock the shooting happens. So
when was the ammunition search? Was the same day?
the ammunition online getting caught by the teacher was the same day.
That's strange to me.
Why?
Because you had ammunition to kill these kids already.
Right.
Or it was given to you that day. One of the two happened. Because why are you doing an ammunition search when you already have the ammunition?
Well, now, I mean, if you've never purchased a gun, then you probably don't know what it's like to have a gun, right? When you buy a gun, you're just gonna be looking. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't need more ammunition, you're not gonna not purchase them. So he probably, it's like your first fucking drug. Like, he's in his mind, he's like more. But obviously he already had ammo because he shot up the school 2 hours later. So Stokely, obviously you kind of figure, you realize what we're talking about here.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
cool. Okay, go ahead, Tira.
So I have a couple things. The parents are definitely responsible.
Yeah.
You supplied him. You identified the issues. You know about the issues. People know their kids. I mean, you and also the environment that you provided him made him feel comfortable in doing all this behaviors. You just don't, like, red flags are there way before an incident happened. So I don't buy they didn't know. So obviously we know they know because of the different correspondence that we've seen. The school is culpable because
I think so too. Totally.
You had the duty to, if somebody is, I mean, like right now in America, maybe back in the early 90s, you might have not seen this as a big issue, but ever since Columbine and some other incidents, like, this is supposed to be taken seriously. They literally have drills.
Yes.
Things. So for you, blatantly, and I've seen Black kids, and I ain't gonna say just Black kids, I haven't seen kids kicked out of school for drugs or smelling like drugs.
Far less shit than that.
Okay.
Far less shit than that.
But it seems like with violence, it's under the rug here, or swept under the rug, and I've just, they're definitely capable, and I think schools need to be held more accountable for not doing things early on, because at this point in stage in our society, Black kids been going through metal detectors.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. In inner city schools, we've been going to metal detectors. Why is it not that every school at this point has metal detectors? We're sending our kids to be safe. You wanted these kids back in the classroom. You said you needed them back in the classroom for the after COVID. You can't say you're trying to do some type of protection for COVID and not protection for these mental issues that these kids are having. Like, why are we so focused on COVID? There's other things going on in America that needs more attention, and these kids are suffering, and these parents ain't paying attention, and these teachers ain't paying attention. And so this is what the outcomes comes from that. So I think the parents are accountable, should be held accountable, and the school system should be sued. I mean, sued.
Yes.
Into the red.
Yes.
It's already in the red. They need to be sued in the red, because I send my child to school. I expect them to be safe. And I'm just saying this, and this is the last thing, Stokely. I've watched, not with just gun violence, I've watched kids.
Uh-oh. Froze up, T. There we go. I think you're frozen. Say something, Tira. Uh-oh. I think she's frozen.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Okay. I've watched kids get jumped in school, and literally the conversation
You cut out again.
News station about what happened in the school because the school is so scared that funding will be taken away. So they might suspend the kids, and they're not even taking care of the issue far as separating or counseling or any of these things.
Right.
So violence is somewhat swept under the rug with these schools, but for some reason, when it comes to drugs or things of that matter, they're ready to
throw the book at.
Expel you. Like you can't come back for the rest of the year.
Let me say this, talking about red flags. Surely the parents saw some red flags in this.
Oh, absolutely.
Surely they saw that. Secondly, in Michigan, like Wisconsin, we saw with the Rittenhouse thing, kids grow up with guns and such and all this stuff. So it's common. So his parents, are they liable? Absolutely. 100%. The text message alone from his mother, LOL, you just shouldn't have got caught looking at that ammunition.
Yes.
That says so much. But when you have a situation, Tierra brought it up and spoke about it briefly, a white kid in a public school and how they're handled versus black kids in public schools and how they're handled. Look, when I was in school, they didn't have, and I went to predominantly all white high school actually, so I was the toughest kid on campus. But we didn't have metal detectors. Not saying we didn't need them, because I know, and this was back in the day. Well, I'm not that old, but I graduated in 1988. I'm old, but damn. But guys would literally come to school with rifle gun racks in the back of their truck windows.
Hell yeah, Texas, absolutely.
I was in Austin.
Yes.
I went to William B. Travis.
I went to fucking Anderson, so you know, okay. I know. Like, yeah, so, you know.
But that's the shit that was going on then. And thank goodness we didn't have no shootings, because, but.
No, it's because we fought back then.
Right, you fought somebody, Mm-hmm. But the thing about it is, they're going to find every way possible, like they did the Rittenhouse situation, to get this kid off, even though we know that he's going to prison. But they're going to lessen that and then lessen his parents. His parents, each one got 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, or they're thinking about charging them, which carries 15 years per count. Well, shit, that's 60 years each. Mm-hmm. But what they're going to do is they're going to plead that down. They're going to plead it down. They're going to get charged with one and may do 8 years, 7 years. This is the way the judicial system works, and I know damn well.
Stokely, because I don't know where NRA stands at this point with this situation.
They don't say shit no more. They ain't saying nothing no more.
Because this is a slippery slope. Because if they charge the parents, I can see we already charged the parents. I can see the NRA not really taking well to that whole idea that if I have a gun and my child or somebody else in my house take it and go shoot somebody and kill somebody, am I responsible? I think that gun carriers, just like people that own vehicles, should have
what?
Gun insurance. Make it.
I have some shit. Look, for a long time, I didn't have car insurance, but I had goddamn gun insurance.
Make it expensive. That way, everybody just don't. It's not easy to get. And then have some underwriting rules and guidelines saying, okay, this is too many bullets. This is too many guns.
You're right. I think you're right. When somebody has ammunition that'll kill 50,000 people, somebody need to know. This motherfucker got, excuse my French lady, this motherfucker got 50,000 rounds of some shit. So
see, and I disagree with you there. I understand what your reasoning is. I understand your reasoning, but as a responsible gun owner, I disagree with you there. But go ahead.
And I'm a gun owner too. But the thing about it is, the NRA, their speech doesn't match the actions that they try to protect. So that's a problem. And what I mean by that is, they're probably like, okay, responsible gun owners, we disagree with the parents and how they handle this. But the NRA refuses to do anything and step in and say anything about it, other than let's just stay quiet, let them handle this, and that's it. So
no way to die down. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of like it's not a voting year,
Right. Yeah.
like
And the
presidential.
NRA could care less about what the hell who shot John and Judy and Jessica at the school at this
Yeah,
point. We
their
saw
money has far deeper pockets than
right.
little
We saw
school
this
shooter
one.
Bobby.
What was the school where just a few years ago where what's his name, David Hogg or something? He's
Oh,
like
down
this.
in
Oh yeah, Dallas.
Florida.
Florida. Okay,
Yeah. So
the
the
Parkland
NRA,
shooter or whatever.
Yeah,
yes,
Parkland.
Parkland.
Okay, okay.
the NRA thoroughly showed their ass with that one.
Can you elaborate on that story?
Yeah,
That
because
was
I don't remember what NRA's part of that was.
the
Well, David
well,
Hogg was actually one of the students that got out, and
right,
he went after the NRA. The
right.
What's the
NRA's.
story? Like the actual
Oh,
story.
So
Well,
Parkland, I think the parents again had a gun in their home. The
Uh
boy
huh.
was showing signs of mental issues. He's been kicked. He was kicked out of the school a
right.
couple of times
But he got
prior.
suspended from school like 2 weeks prior to this. He ended up killing 17 people. Um,
damn.
and it
Shit.
was just they evacuated the entire school. Well, David Hogg became
The voice
the
behind
voice
the
of
movement.
Parkland High School because he
Okay, he was
saw
one of the
that.
victims.
Yeah, he saw the tragedy, and the NRA was like, "Say it again."
Can I ask this question about the
Yeah,
story?
yeah.
So he was suspended at the time that he came to the school, or he was just suspended
I think he
previously?
was. I think he was suspended at the time he came to the school.
I can't
Well, he
remember
wasn't
that
even supposed to be on
exactly.
campus.
Because he wasn't supposed to be on campus because they went after the security guard. Remember,
That's right.
the
That's right.
parents,
Yeah,
Yes,
the
yes.
parents
yeah,
went after the
yeah.
security guard and said, "You know what? You had a duty to protect these kids." And
Right.
I'm
That's
thinking,
right.
like, against what? Like, I don't have all that type of
Right. He
that
got
fire
an
power.
AR-15.
Right,
See,
right.
that's the thing is how the NRA then became so vocal in defending the shooter
Because they
and
had a scapegoat.
Well, they wasn't defending the shooter; they were defending the Second Amendment more than
the
anything
Second
because
Amendment. Okay.
the
Yeah.
Parkland shooter, I mean, the Parkland, movement wanted to go after the Second Amendment and wanted just gun safety laws on the table,
Right.
and they would not do that. So David Hogg was kind of the face of that, but yeah, he was suspended at the time.
Yeah, I
He
think you're
went
right.
back to the school shot up and killed all those kids. And so my thing is having insurance, one, insurance put the pressure on the gun owners and the NRA because you know why? They don't want to pay out shit. We know that.
Right.
Insurance don't want to pay
Right.
out nothing.
Never.
So if you
Right.
require them, and guess how much expensive would it be? If you're in Atlanta, the insurance is higher because there's a lot more accidents. So if you are in a gun-toting Texas or a gun-toting Georgia, guess what? For you to have a weapon, we're saying you can have it, but you're going to carry insurance and it's going to be a lot higher
Right.
if you don't have these gun laws. And so my thing is we got to have some balance. I know Second Amendment is not going to go away. I know people are not going to give up their guns, but then let them require insurance. They have to have insurance. Like, why did they not
I
have insurance?
agree.
That way they can pay out when these type of things happen, and God forbid they ever happen. They have to pay out these people, money to somewhat compensate because how do we rectify a loss? We really don't have a way.
Right.
I have to interject on the insurance thing. What are y'all thinking is a good price for insurance?
It
Right?
depends on how many guns and how many. Let's think about vehicles, right?
Uh-huh.
Mustang is going to be more expensive than a Toyota Camry, and you know that if you're 16, the insurance is going to be way higher
Right.
than if you are 40 because it goes down. Certain states have higher premiums than others just because of the amount of accidents. They base it off the claims. So I don't know what that looks like, but I'm saying if you're one gun carrying person, I doubt if I would say you have a over $100 monthly insurance. But if you got AR-15s and
Okay.
rifles and stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, you need to be paying $400.
Exactly. And
There ain't
that's why this country
That's just gonna make people illegally
even more
not.
pissed off.
That's just
Yeah.
gonna make more people not have insurance at all. That's gonna be a deterrent for people. They're gonna be like, fuck your insurance.
Because
I pay
their
I pay
guns out
50
here
I
in the
pay
street.
I pay 50
but
bucks a month for I pay 50 bucks a month for my insurance, and it actually covers any type of device that could be used for self-defense. So if I get into a fight and, you know, I beat the shit out of somebody, whether I go to jail or not, that person go to the hospital, whatever, like I can still use my insurance to protect me and defend me because my hands were used for self-defense. If I have to use a golf club on somebody who broke into my house and I killed somebody who broke into my house with a golf club or a baseball bat, I can use my insurance to protect me because I had to use these things for self-defense. You know, I mean, I do think there does have to be some type of liability, abso-fucking-lutely. And I think that, you know, we would see things turn around just like we would if the cops were required to have liability insurance versus always the taxpayers paying out their fucking settlements, you know? Yeah. So I mean, it would be, but you don't want to push it to where it deters people from having it, because you do want to be able to have something obtainable should you do have to sue these motherfuckers civilly. Let's say criminally, you know, your case like Kyle Rittenhouse. Criminally, this fucker won. That doesn't mean civilly those people can't go after him for every dime that his poor ass family has.
Now.
And I would assume so. I just hadn't heard anything about that quite yet.
Yeah,
you know, but
doctors are required to
yes,
have
anybody who's in a helping field has to have liability insurance.
And that shit is expensive. Like a lot of doctors are lobbying to get that taken away. But then it's like, if you have negligence, you should be paying those loved ones for your negligence.
Absolutely.
So my thing is we can definitely do it. It's just, my thing is, I understand the part of people doing it illegally, but hell, it's people out here that has illegal car insurance. So I mean, I'm sorry, not illegal. I'm sorry, no car insurance. That's what I meant.
It was me. Shit, I didn't have car insurance for a long time, but I had renter's insurance and I had insurance on my damn guns if some shit went down. And it sucks that we even have to maybe be in positions where it's like that, right? Like I shouldn't have to be robbing Peter to pay fucking Paul, but if I got to, I don't go nowhere. So I wasn't worried about me having any car incidences, but when I do go somewhere, I take my gun. So I made sure I had insurance for that shit, right?
And cars and guns and all that stuff, it really is a luxury. Like,
yes,
so my thing is, if you don't want to pay insurance, or I'm not saying I've done it, I've been riding dirty before, but if you
I have insurance, I'm just saying I do have insurance.
So if you don't want to, if you can't afford this, you shouldn't have that. And then same with the gun owner. You know, you don't have to have a gun. You want a gun. So I get it. It's not a requirement. So my thing is, if you want this gun, then you need to carry insurance. Plain and simple. Why do the car drivers got to do it? And if they kill somebody, they guess what? Their insurance pays for that. Or they go harm somebody. Go ahead. I
will say this. I do feel like if that was put into place, it would just be another reason for Black people to get sent to jail. Because you
now you don't have insurance, so now you go to jail. Now you have a felony. Now we take your gun.
Well, you know, everything that we don't have as Black people is a reason for them to send us to jail.
Right.
Think about it.
That's my point. So that's where it's like. I agree with the concept. I think it's a great concept, but because the system is so broken already, you know, it's going to affect us the worst. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, because white people can afford to have the insurance, right? At a certain point, you know what I mean? Whereas we may not have the ability to afford a gun, ammunition, and the insurance as well.
White people can afford to not have insurance and still have no consequences come against them.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you know, a lot of times we don't even think of the poverty aspect of you know, not having the ability to pay for these things. It's not that not that they were criminals, right? And we get found with a illegal gun or something. It's some people are law-abiding citizens and we still can't afford another bill. So that may be another additional problem. I agree.
Some people do have felonies, but if I have a drug charge, should that mean I can't have a gun?
Yeah, that's true.
If it's a felony drug charge, no, because as a felon, you cannot possess firearm for nothing. Doesn't matter what your felony was for in Texas, anyways.
So literally, if someone broke in your house and you have a felony drug charge from 10 years ago, and someone breaks into your house, and you know there's a gun in the house, say it's your mother's, your father's, your brother's, or whoever, and you grab that gun and shoot somebody, the intruder.
That's possession of firearm. That's possession of firearm by felon. Somebody very close to me did 36 months for that shit.
Man, I wish
just telling the police that there was a fucking gun in the house and this person was a felon. And about 3 days later, the police department calls and asks questions, and probably
it's
another 2 weeks later, this person gets picked up, gets arrested, and they sentence him to 36 months in the penitentiary, no fucking parole, for possession of firearm by felon. And it was in the fucking hallway closet, just sitting in the hallway closet. Wasn't touched, wasn't used, wasn't involved in the initial reason that the police came, but got 36 months. You know, and what you guys are saying right now, for me, I feel like this is really the bane of all of this, right? The white, like the whiteness syndrome. It's okay for white kids to have gun drawings and look up guns and, you know, say, I want to kill this and I'm going to do this.
I'm having a bad day. I'm going to shoot somebody.
You know, it's okay. It's the epitome of whiteness in this country. It's, you know, the police are not scared of white people. They're scared of black people. Why are you scared of black people?
They've been taught to be
so you can see this lily white school district having this poor little white boy with his poor little white trash parents, which they are. And I say that because then today, and I wasn't able to post because I'm in jail for another 28 goddamn days.
Damn.
I know. So I wasn't able to post it. Sorry, but there was a news link that came out today that said there was a neighbor of the Crumbley family who, when he was 8 and 9, so he's like, what, 14, 15 now? So, I mean, this has been going on for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So this neighbor had called CPS and all these people, like, between the ages of 8 and 9, because the parents were always leaving him home by himself, and they would go out bar hopping and drinking and shit. And so the little boy, 8, 9 years old, would always go to this neighbor's house to use her phone or to do anything, because they wouldn't even leave a phone at home with the little boy when they left him home by his fucking self. Wow. So, I mean, she called the authorities. She got the people involved. Like, she's like, I don't know what ended up happening, because obviously the kid never went anywhere. Like, I don't know what the follow-up on those people's situation was. But, like, you know, so you have a history now. So it's not like this is brand new information. It's only new for us, right? But it's not new to this city. It's not new to this town. It's not new to this school district. But they have this white kid who comes from white bread parents, from white America, with white ass fucking beliefs and white ass privilege and white ass fragility and white ass denial, that, like, it's just not gonna fucking happen. And it's like, how many white kids are gonna go shoot up schools and go do terroristic shit under this guise that somehow, like, they're not violent? Somehow whatever is brewing in white America is causing these children
I'm gonna tell you what it is.
And I'm tired of that self-defense line. Like, this
girl, this wasn't no damn self-defense. Nobody else can use self-defense legitimately except white people.
You're right.
Huh? For the school shooting, they use that line?
No. Not yet.
Just in general. Not yet.
It's coming. It's coming, believe that.
He was bullied. He was picked on. Well, shit.
Not to change the subject, but there is a upstate New York, he's 20 now. When he was in high school, he raped 4 girls and he got 8 months probation. The judge said, did you see that shit? The judge said prison would be too rough for him.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
This is college campus every year.
Oh my God.
There's plenty of girls get raped on college campus. You know.
Yeah.
We're sorry. She was out there being provocative.
Well, that was the Brock kid who raped the girl behind the fucking dumpster.
Yes.
And got 6 months. Got 6 months for that.
A brother can barely wolf whistle at a lady, and he getting something. I'm just, it's so crazy to me. And as a man, and I see all these young men, black men out here, it scares me because they don't know. I mean, I tell guys all the time, living in Dallas, you'll see a lot of those, not the stereotype, but the Mark 6s and the LTDs sitting on those big giant wheels and, all the fancy paint jobs and all this other stuff. But cops you become a mark to the cops when you're driving those. And that's just a reason for them to stop you. And then if you do have a little weed on you or whatever, now they're going to get you with that. And I try to tell these guys, dial it back a little bit. I don't care what you drive, but it don't have to be painted like a Snickers bar or something like that. Skittles
Right.
where the police are going to make you a target. And so, like I said, it's just shit we just can't get away with. It's just
and this is a problem with our judicial system.
Hold on, Tier. Hold your thought real quick. Denise, will you take the YouTube link and make a new post? Because I don't see the YouTube link invitation. Like I see it in a post, but just make a whole new post for that. Okay, sorry, Tier. My bad.
No, I'm just what I'm saying is our judicial system is the issue, and why these people feel comfortable doing this, right? So if you look at a judicial system that does not punish properly, with white counterparts compared to black counterparts, you think you can actually get away with this shit.
And they do.
We were punished.
They do, yes.
Yeah, so they do. So and it's like, I think we all probably say it. The judicial system is working exactly the way it was fucking designed.
Exactly.
So it's like, there's literally no chance to be stood in a court of law. I mean, really, and we know this. So it's like, the thing I thought of when the parents got arrested was, is this what's gonna is situations like this what it's going to take for white people who have not opened their fucking eyes yet to be like, damn.
No. So here
we got a problem. We got a problem.
We've known this for years because
but I'm talking about the white people who got the white kids who are just fucking handing them, shit like.
Well, we can go back
to enabling the behavior.
Right. And we can go back to the Rittenhouse case with this one, because at no point, Rittenhouse grew up seeing white cops being able to do what the hell they want to do. White superheroes with capes on their backs. And, great. You have never heard of not ne'er one black person running to the city next door to save a car dealership with his AR-15 and going to court after killing 2 people, shooting another man's arm off, and getting acquitted. We don't have the ability or the luxury
and hanging out with the judge. What you talking about? Hanging out with the judge.
We don't have that luxury. Exactly.
Did you see his snivy little ass on some interview recently where he's talking about the LeBron James comment?
Yeah. I'm a grown ass man, and that little
so
kid.
Pompous.
Oh man. I'm too old to whoop him, but I got a nephew that would.
This is that privilege, I am the savior complex.
That's
type
it.
Of thing.
Exactly.
Because you see it in the mod case where they felt they had the authority to
ask him questions and stop him.
What questions? Stop him. And then for the actual DA to not even go seek charges where she getting charged because you didn't do your job.
Yeah,
and I hope they throw all the books at her ass. Every last one of them.
But so it kind of goes back to what we're talking about: accountability, culpability, responsibility. She's fucking liable too. Like
white folks have never had to have that.
No, we've never had to be accountable for shit. I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was like, my dad has always taught me growing up, an accessory is an accessory. And I thought to myself today, I was like, in preparing for this conversation, I was like, why the fuck did my dad teach me an accessory? And I was like, because my dad was a fucking criminal most of my life until he got sober. And then when he got sober, then he was just a sober, criminal-minded individual who made really good fucking healthy choices, right? And so, you don't stop being a hustler just because you stop hustling. Right. Like, it's still in you. And I'm like, my dad taught me that shit because he was fucking accessory probably many times.
I have no problem with a hustler hustling.
No, but I grew up always understanding that even as an accessory to a crime, your ass can still be found liable. And so I never fucking put myself in situations growing up as a teenager and even as an adult now where I would be with somebody or in a situation where some shit could go down and I could be in trouble for something I didn't have nothing to do. So how this seems to be such a challenging sentiment for everybody else is beyond me. Like, why is everybody not being charged accordingly? I mean, the answer to that fucking question.
Okay.
We know the answer to that question.
That was rhetorical, but I understand.
It is.
I feel like that particular situation was more so like, hey, just so you know, if you are trying to support any people of color, this can happen to you and we won't care about you either. I think that was the sentiment that was supposed to send out to everybody else. Like, you want to be an ally, cool. Well, you're going to get treated just like a black person. So
Well, you
there
see
you
that
go.
a lot when people in like Louis Gohmert, some position here in Texas. I don't know what position he has. I can't remember now. Representative, state of Texas.
Huh.
He feels like the Black Lives Matter protest were the same as the January 6th riot.
Oh
Uh,
God.
and he is demanding that these people that stormed the Capitol get out, or at least be offered bail or an amount for bond to bond out, because Black Lives Matter protesters weren't even arrested. And I was thinking to myself when I was hearing this, I was like, you're comparing apples to pumpkins at this point, apples to grapes. This is
Yeah.
not even the same.
It's the epitome of the fucking problem. White
It's
ass
the
tears,
temerity, exactly. It's
fragility,
the
like
temerity that white folks have. And see, I speak about this all the time, and Nikki, you and I have discussed this. I know a girl who has two biracial kids, and she has no clue. None. She does not know what they're going to go through, even though we see it on TV every day. She is white with blonde hair, and her kids look like me. Good looking kids. I swear to God they are. But the thing about it is, she has no clue what their lives are really going to be about as they grow up and become young adults. Her son, he's going to get stopped, and ain't shit she going to be able to do about it. Her daughter, the same thing. But I'm just like, how do you not see it? How do you not understand it? And she's a Trump supporter. I'm just like, holy shit.
God.
Your whole life is jacked up. And then she's an anti-vaxxer at that. Had COVID, damn near died twice. And will not. And then
She survived.
I'm not. Yeah, I know.
She survived.
But she out there running raggedy in them streets. I'm telling you. And so, if you protect yourself, like I said, again, we've had this conversation.
Right.
It's not for everybody. I get it.
But she is also the epitome of what's wrong with white America. Like, just because you have two black kids don't mean shit. Like, and there's a lot of white women who never should have had biracial children. And I'm not saying I'm the poster child for, well, it's okay if you do it this way. But I have so many black male friends who have biracial children with a white woman or even a Latina woman. And they're like, they didn't realize what it was until Trump happened.
Right.
And they saw how much strange alliance their baby mama or baby mama's family or,
Right.
whatever had beliefs that fucking lined up with Trump and totally all lives mattered things when you should be fucking sitting here saying Black Lives Matter, especially if you have black children.
Right.
Like, it's so those women are part of the problem versus part of the solution.
So based on our conversations in the past, I feel comfortable in having these conversations with you.
Of course.
And like I said, I have these conversations with everybody. I just have to go in at a different angle with other folk that don't get it. I mean, I go ham, and I don't feel sorry about it because, well, I'll say this: I'm unapologetic about how I approach people in having that conversation. Like, oh girl, you're not the one that's going to pay the price. You may be heartbroken when your son gets pulled over,
and her kids are going to pay the price for her ignorance.
They're the ones that are going to pay.
Her children, her black children, will be the ones that pay the price.
And she is against BLM and everything.
This too, though, like when we're talking about like responsibility and accountability, like you got to know who you laying with.
Straight up.
If you're going to have biracial children, you need to make sure, if you are the person of color in this situation or whatever the case may be, you need to make sure you know who you dealing with.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, like how those kids go into the world, like they need all the backup they can get. Because one, I've noticed that oftentimes biracial children have identity issues. And it's because there is normally some sort of disconnect because whatever conversation needed to be had before these children came into play wasn't had. We all have identity issues, but then when you put race on top of it, and
Oh yeah.
you go to this side of the family is one way, this side of the family is another way. You ain't nobody coming in the middle to explain the shit
Right.
to you.
That's why I
You got
say, yeah.
to
That's why I
Well,
say
like,
the conversations that Nikki and I have, I feel so. And then she knows a lot of the people in Austin that I know. I mean, it's like I see pictures of her with kids I grew up with. And I'm thinking like, what? Lynette,
did you
Stephanie,
guys
Whitney?
did y'all watch that Colin Kaepernick special on
Oh yeah,
Netflix?
yeah.
Oh god, I watched it with my boys, and I was so angry like every episode. Like I cried every episode. I was so angry every episode for Colin, because the reality is there's so many black children who are being raised by white people,
And the white people
and
that don't have a clue.
it's psychologically damaging when there's a part in the documentary where his parents basically made so much fun of him for getting cornrows for his first
That was the one I
time.
was thinking of. Yep.
I was so fucking angry about that. And he finally took his hair down. Well, he didn't have a choice. They were like, basically, you're going to do this or you're not going to play sports. And he
Oh,
cut all his braids out. And he goes,
yeah.
it was 16 years before I braided my hair again. And I just like, thinking about it makes me want to fucking cry. Like,
Those are the things that you have
it's
to
maddening
do
to me.
Yeah, those are the things that you have to do. It's it's code switching in a different way.
Right.
In my day-to-day job, I've been code switching for years and didn't realize I was code switching.
Right.
But it was the do this way to not cause any waves and ruffles. I found out the other day I'm the person that worked at Ruffles Feathers because of the things that I say and the shit that I'm not going to deal with.
Right.
And my boss, he talks to people crazy, except for me. I'm the only one. And if I ruffle his feathers, granted, he signs my check. But you're not going to just talk to me and treat me any kind of way.
Right.
I will tighten my belt and not make money before you do that.
Right.
So
back to this Ethan kid, so he's also charged with terrorism. So they charged him with 4 counts of, I believe, murder, and they've also charged him with terrorism. And they didn't really say, at least the article that I read, but what they said was that the people that were injured, like who he shot that didn't die, something about who he shot that didn't die was why they charged him with terrorism. So I don't know what the ethnicity is of the people that were injured and not killed in the shooting. But they've charged him with terrorism, and like I don't think you can get that dropped. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you can get that reduced to a lesser sentence.
What they're trying to do with that is they're saying that, of course, him shooting up the school was terrorizing.
But nobody else who's done school shooting has been charged with terrorism, though.
Well,
to my knowledge.
What they're looking at is this is the prosecutor becoming very, very creative in making sure that something strong sticks.
Maybe so.
I was just listening to Dean Obadala about this very reason or this very topic. The prosecutor has to become very, very, because now you're getting, like I said, his parents are going to say, well, he grew up with guns. We've had guns. We're in Michigan. All kids have guns. And they're going to try a whole lot of different shit to get the parents not be convicted of, manslaughter 4 times each.
But what do y'all think about people, because I don't know if you've read many of the comments, on the social media sites of people who are like, this is bullshit. These parents should not be charged. These parents are not responsible for this boy's decision. These parents should not be held. Like, there are a lot of people who believe that, even though he may have come, the seed don't fall far from the seed don't fall far from the tree. But but there's a lot of people who genuinely believe this kid acted solo dolo and these parents should not be responsible. And then they go into saying things like, well, how many of our kids have done this and done this and done this? And, should we be guilty for some of those things? And my thought is, well, probably some of those things, yes. If you didn't do your fucking job as a parent, maybe some people should start being held accountable for being shitty parents, raising some shitty kids, doing some shitty things in society. But we can't do that, right? We unless we physically beat our children, abuse, neglect, and exploit them, we can do whatever the fuck we want with our kids. We can raise them as shitty as we want to, as hateful as we want to, as
that's what
as
society is.
horrible as we want to, and there is no accountability whatsoever to those that fostered an environment for a kid to flourish or to grow in that space. So I am fucking stoked that they are charging these parents because it's time.
I think it's a slippery slope. I'm gonna say, like, in this particular case, like specifically with the mom, just because like I grew up in the South, so I'm very familiar with like kids going hunting and knowing
right,
like young and that whole thing. Like I'm familiar with that.
I must be the only motherfucker out here that didn't hunt.
I
was saying I must be the only motherfucker out here that has never gone hunting. I don't know.
I haven't gone hunting, but I know that people do that. Like that's
right,
what they do.
right. In Texas, you know that's what they do.
Your camo, you go hunting. You know how to use the gun. Like you got your little orange beanie or whatever it is, and you go out.
I've seen
I
all
get
that.
Now, so I would say like the kid owning a gun is just not as strange to me because of that, because of my background understanding that. Where I feel the issue comes in is the mom saying, well, you shouldn't have got caught. I'm like, are you saying you shouldn't have got caught just looking at messages, or I don't care if you get caught killing people? Like, what are you saying? What are you exactly saying?
I think she was alluding to.
Yeah, so I'm saying like if she's like being like, yeah, go do your thing, just don't get caught. Like, you probably need to go sit down, beloved. Like you need to go do some time. You participate
Yes.
for you to send him back, and you had to know that the gun was in his book bag. You had to. But again, this kind of goes back to the gun insurance thing. This is a slippery slope.
Ooh, I don't know
this is a slippery slope. This is a slippery slope because for this particular situation, it makes all the sense in the world. They should definitely do some jail time. Like, come on. But there's going to be there's a lot of other situations that are not this.
Right.
That people want to sit down for, where they ain't necessarily need to be doing no sitting down.
Right.
And that's because the system's already fucked.
Well, yeah.
But I think that's going to affect us.
It will. It will. Ultimately. But see, the thing about that is that we have to, again, this is something that has become and is going to be even worse here in the next few weeks, even more politicized. Watch what I say. It's going to be more politicized. She's a Trump supporter. That's going to come out even more.
Who, the mom?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I hadn't read that yet. But that's totally par for course.
It's become more politicized for that very reason. Same thing with the Rittenhouse thing, because guns are a lightning rod for politics, and the NRA, as the NRA is funding everybody under the sun, it's just what it is. So we, like you said, it's going to come down. It's going to come back to us at some point.
Immediately.
I just hope.
Immediately it will come back to us.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it like this. When you start thinking about children that are raised in the inner city, right? And you think about children that are raised in situations where it's just like crazy violence and they don't feel safe unless they have a gun. Because like they ain't gonna have gun insurance, they ain't gonna have no legal gun. And if they feel like they need the gun to defend themselves, and then they do, and they don't have the insurance and they don't have a legal gun, do their parents, their hardworking parents that have to work 2 jobs and can't really keep up with them, have to go do time now? You understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
It's a slippery slope.
It is.
That we will suffer the most from, because the whole entire system is fucked.
It's broken, yeah.
Right.
Those little things in there, and it's like, yeah, it's a good idea. However, there's other side to that. And so that's where it just gets really tricky, because you know how these judges are. You know how these jurors. Have you guys heard of a girl named Crystal Kaiser?
Yes. Yeah.
So it was in Wisconsin, the exact same. I'll explain. It was in Wisconsin where it took place. She was from Wisconsin, 17 years old. put a ad on Backpage or whatever the hell that was, and this white man came along, scooped her up, pimped her out, had sex with her, all kinds of just crazy stuff. She ended up shooting him, killing him. Now, the same defense that Rittenhouse used, they say she cannot use that. Yep. And I'm thinking, like, well, why not? This man had been having sex with her since she was 16.
Yeah, he trafficked her.
Yeah. I'm just ridiculous. But as a young black girl, she can't use that same defense that Rittenhouse used. And I was reading about it the other day, and I'm thinking, like, what the hell? So it's just crazy. So yeah,
it's a lot of. I feel like religion comes into play in the judicial system as well when it comes to women. So women can't defend their own bodies, and I think that's not even just a black thing. I do believe black women have it the worst, but even I've seen white women go to jail for shooting their husbands when they are when their husbands are beating on them. So it becomes almost I think a religious element to it when it comes to dealing with women. Because I think they think we should not be able to defend and protect ourselves to the degree men should. So I don't know why that is, but I feel like, to me, I don't know what you guys think. Do you think religion comes into an element of the judicial system, especially with dealing with trafficking, prostitution, anything that's seen as immoral in the act? Like the act is immoral in their eyes, and then so anything if you get abused by it, so be it. Like you don't have no recourse from it.
You know what bothers me about that is it's the same white men, old white men that's telling us it's all wrong and rape is wrong, but they're the same ones that are doing it. You know, they're making the rules, the laws. The same thing with the abortion thing. How is an old white man going to tell a woman, any woman, I don't care who it is, what woman it is, that she can't do what she needs to do with her body? And now you have old white women that are supporting old white men in their thoughts and their ideas. And this is crazy to me.
They're towing the line with that.
But when have they not? When haven't they? You know, I mean, these are the same women who watch their men whip and beat and murder and terrorize, black families just because, right?
Second place to white women isn't a bad position for them. Second place as far as hierarchy goes, you got old white men, you got old white women. That's how the hierarchy goes, and then everybody else falls below that. And so,
but specifically with women, I'm saying when dealing with the judicial system, whether it's white, black, and like I said, I'm not saying black women don't have the hardest, but I say when it comes to prostitution or anything in sexual in nature, even like rape, they treat it as it's not an issue. They don't, and then when we protect ourselves, then it becomes a problem.
You know,
we are
you shot
she didn't follow the law. She should have waited she went and got a gun illegally because California has a 3-month, waiting period. But she went through all the steps. She got the restraining order. She did this. She changed the lock. She got a fucking dog. She got motion cameras. Like, how much more can a woman do? So, yeah, women definitely get shit on. Of course, women in color get shit on more than anything, of course, judicially. But women definitely are kicked in the fucking knees when it comes to expecting I think, justice in situations where we have to defend ourselves. Like right after that Kyle Rittenhouse shit happened, people were talking about Santoya Brown. They were like, what the fuck? How many women are behind bars right now for killing their abuser who legitimately use self-defense, but white boys get off all the time. It ain't shit. You got DAs who are protecting white boys from even fucking having charges being filed. And then because a fucking photojournalist, a journalist, a social media journalist, has taken cause with the fact that, like, they were going to let Rittenhouse just walk. And they're like, no, this is wrong on every level. Of course he still got off. And he's like, his whole vibe is Zimmerman. Like, his whole little fucking vibe is just straight Zimmerman.
George Zimmerman, like 2.0.
I don't think that all cases of holding other people liable, say family or parents or whatever, I don't think all cases would have really made a difference, because you're still a product of your environment, and if the environment is shit, it's gonna be shit, right? But like, I think that if more people start to get held accountable, it's somewhere it has to start a ripple effect.
That's what has to happen, though.
Denise,
I agree.
Denise has a point.
And the Ahmaud Aubrey. Go ahead, Denise. I'm sorry.
Hold on. Let Denise jump in on that one.
There's a couple of things I wanted to say. I do agree with Tiara that a lot of what the laws based around is very heavily like religiously based. 1,000%, I believe that. Like even for instance, I was talking to my ex about this before. But if you like go downtown and just kind of look at the buildings, the images that you see, like the carved into whatever random wall, like courthouse or whatever, is the image of a white man. So when you seeing all the time yourself just like kind of made to be this deity, of course you think you can do no wrong because that's all you're seeing is yourself here all the time. And they're making the rules to where it's like everybody else is down here. So of course, when a man rapes a woman because a man has made all these laws, of course it's not gonna, you know. And then you go back to even like the times in the Bible where if a woman was having like in an adulterous relationship, she was like the one that was stoned. Dude was stoned. You know what I mean? So I agree that a lot of it, but I don't think it's just as it pertains to women. I think it's just the law, period. But especially that, for sure. And I wanted to say something else. Nikki, what was the last point you made?
I don't even remember.
Just
how
Centoya
Brown and self-defense, women using self-defense.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to double down on the fact that yes, it's a start, but a start to what end? I'm always thinking about how there's so many different things, like even down to that bill that oh boy helped pass, the current president, the crime bill back in the day that he was in support of.
Okay, yeah, the 1993
95, yeah, the 95 crime bill.
It appeared to be, and they got the Black Caucus involved to help push this through. It appeared to be something that would be helpful for us, and it was not.
And because you know what? When you have one branch of government is making the laws, and then you have another one enforcing the laws, it can get convoluted. You know what I mean? So their intentions of it was right. Was to cut down on violence against women. There was pieces of that in there, like it was, but it got lost in translation because now you have evil people using it as a weapon to attack a certain demographic. They see it as a piece of meat hanging over them. Oh, now we can use this.
But they were all people. The private prisons. There was also something in there very specific about how much money they were going to be making.
Yeah. Too. So they had to keep those beds filled. It was not for black people. It was definitely not the benefit of black people. Definitely not black men.
So it's like always on the surface, it appears like, oh, we're trying to clean this situation up. We're trying to know we're not. It's always about making some sort of money some way, and then at our expense. So it's like, how can we make sure that we're protected because the system is broken, and the things that they come in to try to fix the system is really just fucking us over. So how do we fix that?
Well, one, we got lawmakers that make sense and understand those issues when they're making laws. Like, how is that going to impact this demographic? Because we already know they're targeted. One. Two, we have to have representation in these offices, whether it's in Congress, whether it's in the judicial courts, and every various level, from the DA office to the all those different things, judges, circuit court,
lawyers, just access to fucking counsel.
This is another issue. When you have also, police officers that don't live in their communities, they actually stay 2 towns over and is actually patrolling a community where they do not know the people, do not look the people,
don't give a shit.
So what our problem is you can't make these laws and then not have it impact negatively if you don't have these things in place. You're going to have these things in place first before you make these laws. Otherwise, it's really going to be used as a weapon.
Yeah, and that takes a while. And I've actually heard, like, I think at least more than one prosecutor say, like a prosecutor of color say that they were like, they didn't want to be a lawyer anymore because they were just like, I'm locking my own people up. There's like no way around this shit. So that's like one thing. And I do want to say this too. I 1,000%. I think that's one of the biggest things. I feel like that biggest difference that can be made is having people police neighborhoods that they grew up in or around the type of people that they grew up in. Because I will say this, like I have baby cousins that are probably like 20, 21, and they look like grown men. But at the end of the day, regardless if a kid is this tall with all kinds of facial hair, you can tell by even how they walk in their hair that they're a kid.
Mm-hmm.
If you are familiar with that particular culture. If
Mm-hmm.
not, you get it. So it is very important. I
Yeah.
feel like key.
I mean, because we know we need some type of common sense rules, but if people are going to use that as a weapon, you know what I mean, then it becomes void because it's not used for what its really intended purposes is to
Yeah.
protect people. It's actually harming people. It's
Yeah.
separating people. It's incarcerating people. So we have to get to the root cause of why these issues is. And this, when you come down to these police officers that are picking these people up and arresting them, and the DA charging them, and then the judge sentencing them to the extreme measures, it becomes a whole basic process to put us in jail. Like it's start to finish.
Yeah.
And so we have to really undo that. And the way we have to undo that is we need black prosecutors in the office that know to give when to give the right sentencing and charges, right? Because there is sometimes where we have a repeat offender that just really doesn't have any hope. We see that with a lot of crime where I think it was a guy that was following a girl home and she was struggling to get her keys in. It was on video and she got in
Oh
her house just in
yes.
time. And he was repeatedly left out. I think that was in New York. And he
It was
was
like
repeatedly
35 or 55 times he'd been arrested for shit like that before. Like, what the fuck? Why is he even walking around? But, like, I mean, obviously you can only punish somebody to the extent of the fucking law. But, yeah, I mean, like, can you imagine if he would have gotten in her apartment? Like,
Yep. I mean, you seen it on video. I was over there
I
cringing.
was
I was like, oh my
too.
God. I was shaking trying to
I
see if
was
she get the
so
key in.
fucking scared. Yeah, I
And
was
he
like,
came, he was, kind of banged on the door like he was kind of pissed because he could, she locked it and got away. And I'm just like,
yep,
the system will let people like that roam on the street
Yeah.
consistently.
yep.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't has no balance. And I just don't know what we can do. We can't do anything. It's what can we do in immediate? We can figure stuff out over time. That's putting more people of color, women in positions of power to help that. I totally believe women in power and people of color in power will solve a lot of issues, because if you don't have representation, you don't have shit. I mean,
Right.
they don't have compassion for you. They don't know you.
No,
They
I
don't
don't give a fuck.
identify with you.
No.
They don't see you as human in some
No, they
aspects when
actually
they talk about
disassociate with you. So, yeah.
the fact that they were talking about Ahmaud Arbery toenails. You know what I mean? That was just like, what? They don't even see us as human. That to me, that didn't seem as they don't even see black people as human, and that's a lot of people. They
That's
may not express that verbally, but it slips up like that all the time.
mm-hmm.
Um, and then we need to take out the idea that these vigilantes, these people that think they have authority to be in and touch and space of black and brown people. Just I can do this because I'm white. I have the authority. I can claim self-defense. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? These type of things need to be punished by jail time. You shouldn't be going
Agree.
out being a vigilante trying to figure out who's in your neighborhood. You shouldn't be somebody that thinks that you have authority to get in my face and hold me hostage in a store because you think I'm shoplifting. So these type of things you keep seeing because no one is prosecuting these things, because guess why?
Right.
The people that are prosecuting look like those people that are actually
Right.
committing the crimes. So the
Yep.
judicial system is
Yeah.
that's where we know hold people accountable is there.
I got a question. This is a question I had earlier when I was talking to Nikki. So when we're holding, you know, kids accountable and such. So let's say a teenage girl gets pregnant by a teenage boy. Can the parents of the teenage girl go after the teenage boy's parents for child support?
Ooh, that is messy.
When you're underage, that kind of changes everything.
So this is the thing. It might be a hard lesson, but it may be a good lesson, right? Because the baby got to get taken care of regardless, right?
Right. And the state don't care.
If I was the daughter, right, and I was pregnant, guess what? My mom and them would have to help me. Why shouldn't the other family be held accountable too? If he doesn't have the means, because if I didn't have the means as a daughter, guess what? My mom and my dad would have to help me, right? Not that it don't happen all the time that way, right? But they're held accountable in a way that they're the parents and they want to, help their child. So why wouldn't those parents have to have some assistance? Either you can tell your son to get up and go get a job,
Right.
or, I mean, if my son, right, I don't think I would have to, for me to come to that that point, right? If my son had a child and he needed help, like literally, what do the baby need? Bring the baby to me.
Right. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
So I don't think it should be. Every parent would be. I mean, every child, every parent dynamic would be that way. Right. It's just unfortunate altogether. I think the court systems are bad for being the one that is going to give you what power and what right this person has. I think when you come into family courts, it's really, really dicey to say, hey, you need to pay child support for that child. I mean, because that's your kid and he shouldn't have done that.
However, though, if that same teenage girl seeks government assistance, food stamps, Medicaid, welfare of any sort, where like she's getting money from the state, Section 8, stuff like that, like they then can go after the dad. So, and they generally, if you don't have a child support order in place and you're trying to get, money from the government for, childcare, whatever the case may be, like if you don't already have a child support order in place, oftentimes they'll go after the non-custodial parent. Whether the person signed the birth certificate or not, all that shit's irrelevant. They want to know, okay, well, who else is responsible? So we're helping foot the bill, and that's fine. But, like, we want to find out why he's not helping foot this motherfucking bill. So if the state can go after the baby daddy, then why?
But they're not going to go after the baby daddy parents.
No, they don't go after the baby daddy parents, no. But definitely go after him.
Yeah,
but can they force someone underage?
I don't think so.
Can they force somebody underage to pay?
Go after the parents.
Oh.
Force the kid that is not underage.
So herein lies Q's favorite word, your precedent. Like, do situations like this set precedent that now a person could go after us? So yesterday I was on Standing Room Only, shout out Q, and Mistina had brought up a news link to share for us to talk about. And I had seen the link a couple days ago, but I didn't click on the story to read it. So I literally only was able to read what the headline said. So I didn't know all the meat of what the story was, but I kind of figured what it was. But she elaborated on it last night. And so over in the UK, and some of y'all may have already seen this, over in the UK, there was a case where a woman who was 20, she's like a professional para rider in like the horse, she's like a professional horse show jumper, whatever, like, and she's notable in the para sports, the disabled sports, right? And so all of her notoriety is based on her ability to ride horse and be disabled. She's 20. Somehow or another, whether somebody put it in her ear or not, I don't fucking know, but she went back and she sued her mom's obstetrician because the obstetrician didn't tell the mom prior to conceiving that she should take folic acid, and basically blaming her spina bifida on folic acid, which, I'm not an obstetrician or a scientist or a fucking doctor by any means, but it takes a little bit more than some folic acid pills generally, right? Like there's some other reasons why spina bifida could have happened in this situation. There's no way of knowing whether a person does or doesn't take your pills, your vitamins, if the baby is or isn't going to be okay. So I mean, it's a little bit surface level, but nonetheless, she sues the doctor, basically saying he was negligent, and had he advised the mom to take folic acid vitamins, she would have delayed conception, which meant that once mom eventually got pregnant, whatever baby she did have would have been born with no medical complications. I don't know how much the lawsuit was for. It didn't say it in any of the articles that I read. She won. The judge sided with her. The judge sided with her, found the doctor negligent, and she's 20 years old. They're going back 20 fucking years ago, suing the doctor, saying that, well, you didn't tell my mom this information, and basically it's your fault that I have spina bifida now.
Well, at the same time, but at the same time, as an obstetrician, this is something that you should be telling pregnant women or people that if I go to your
well, he told her if she ate a well diet, if she ate a well-rounded diet, that she wouldn't need to take additional supplements. And to be completely honest, if you do eat a well-rounded diet and you have all of your vitamins and nutrients in your food, you're not supposed to take extra vitamins. You take those things if you're deficient or if your diet is not proper. And so he did tell her if her diet's okay, like she's okay too. But that wasn't enough. So yes, sometimes there are cases where they are negligent in sharing information and they don't tell people certain things. Like, yeah, you may be on the hook for that. But in this particular case, it didn't sound like he didn't not say something. He just didn't literally say the words, take the folic acid. And the judge sided with her and she won her case against this doctor from 20 years ago.
Well, so, and I really don't feel any, I'm sorry, I have no sympathy for these doctors. A lot of times there's a lot of things they can tell us in prevention and they rather not because it's more.
Yeah, there's no money in a cure.
Yeah. So, these are things that they have been told. And with pregnancy, I know a lot of women although they in the beginning are, everything is proper, become deficient because the baby is taking so much.
Anemic so oftentimes.
A lot of women lose their teeth. Because the baby.
Yeah, baby's eating polycalcium.
Big thing. They lose their teeth, and if they're not taking proper prenatal vitamins, and the baby's taking what you have, you need to put some back in for yourself too.
Sure.
So even a proper diet wouldn't be enough a lot of times with carrying a whole nother life that needs to sustain just as much nutrients. Not that I'm here to try to give prescriptions out to everybody, but a lot of that is natural that you can get. So it probably was his duty. And they probably also looked at other records of him dealing with other women and what he had told them. I think it's a little bit more. He told other women to take folic acid and this is what you need to take. And you didn't tell this woman.
But now can you imagine the door that this opens though medically? Like one of the comics on the show last night, he was joking, but he was like, so does that mean I can sue my mom because she slept with my dad and my dad's ugly and they made me and I'm ugly? He's like, can I go sue my mom now? And it's like,
but you know what?
Holy fuck!
Courts in America, you'll never see this.
Right, and that's what they kept saying. This was the UK, so culturally it's very different, and shit like that. But it just made me think about all these cases where you have children who are born with, like I have a cousin who my aunt's pregnancy, the entire pregnancy was completely fine, totally fine pregnancy. Shit went ham at the delivery. My cousin was stuck in the birth canal for far too long, was born blue, resuscitated, of course, once he was born, but had brain damage naturally because of the lack of oxygen. And now two cousins, pretty much same situation, both had cerebral palsy. And neither of my aunts have like ever sought to go back after the doctor because it was just a freak accident, right? Like it's just one of those fucking things that happen during childbirth that you can never plan for, but one of those things that happens. But it's like, or is it? Or was it? Like, was it a negligent situation from a doctor? My cousins are my age. We're in our 40s. Like, can they go back after their mom's OB, assuming this doctor is still alive? You know what I'm saying? And
if they were in another country, they sure the hell could. And they tell you at a certain age, when you get over 40 and stuff, if you have a kid, it's more likely that you'll have a child with Down syndrome. Are you okay dealing with that? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times they give you those little hints and warnings to be like trying to cover their ass.
Right.
And I know, like, I've heard all the time with older women that have. Now I had my child when I was in early 20s, but when you reach a certain point, they tell you it's a high probability that this child may have some mental, some birth defects.
Yeah, and 35 on up now.
Yeah,
it used to be like 40 on up, and now it's 35 on up.
Wow.
And then I just read an article recently of a woman who was 50 and had her first. So I mean, and that's the thing, I guess, when in the childbirth situation is sometimes you really never know. Sometimes you don't know until it's time to have a baby. Sometimes you don't know until the body's like, yeah, we're not going to do this right now. I know this is what we're supposed to do, but we're not doing this right now. And I think that, medical negligence is something that is fucking rampant. I think that, medical negligence is, I think that more people probably have medical complications, injury, lifetime injuries, and death related to, medical malpractice situations that people just never did anything about because they didn't think that they could. So in situations like that, I definitely support going back after doctors, going after anesthesiologists, going after the fucking hospital system when it's all said and done. But this girl suing her mama's doctor, over spina bifida 20 years later, I was just like, holy fuck, this actually won. Like, this legit is a precedent. Like, what happens from this point forward? Like, was really mind blown by that, because then it made me start thinking about like other things that, people can go back for and try to, seek civilly, somewhere in here with people. Like, it just makes you wonder, something as simple as, going after the pharmaceutical companies or going after, vaccine makers. Like, legally, you can't even go after vaccine makers. If you're injured by any vaccine, if you have any injury related to a vaccine, you can't go after them. You're fucking stuck. So it's like, it's picking and choosing, where you can and where you can't seek, compensation from in a liability or an accountability type of situation.
And we see this a lot of times that, holding people responsible for things as safe drinking water and the outcomes of that, or pollution and the outcome, Aaron Brockovich, stuff like that, those big, civil suitcase lawsuits. Even the today they said with the Travis Scott thing, I think it was $8 billion they're going to try to sue all those people for. Not $8 billion. Yes.
Wow.
I think it was, I want to say it was $8 billion. They're going to sue.
I mean, there's a lot of people involved in that. So shit.
So it's like, how do you hold somebody accountable for where's the cap? Like, malpractice was out of hand.
They said at 6 o'clock Eastern. They said at 6 o'clock Eastern, Travis Scott and his label, Cactus Man Records, says they had nothing to do with that. That was 6 o'clock Eastern today. Now, I don't know how they feel like they had nothing. That's the way they can play it.
And we had a whole show about this. I mean, I think everybody unanimously felt like the fucking promoters, the people that put this thing on, ultimately are the ones that are responsible. And I don't think we even talked about it in that show tier, but I thought about this afterwards, and I meant to mention it and I didn't. But even one of the articles that had come out like around the time that we had that show was that people who had like reviewed the setup of that show setup said it was the most dangerous fucking setup you can do at an outdoor concert. So it's like, if you know all of these things, Like, I get people saying, oh, Travis shouldn't be responsible. Like, I get that. You know, everybody has different feelings on that. But at the least, the people that set that shit up were responsible for hiring security, were responsible for doing the things that would have prevented some of this from happening, even if it was just something as simple as having a better setup layout of the field. Like, yes, they have to be found responsible somewhere in that. I 100% believe that. I do.
It's ultimately them. It is not on the artist at all. Technically, the artist is like hired to do a job.
Yeah, they get paid. They get paid.
That would be
like you know, if you paid a light guy, you're getting right. If you paid a light guy, you paid the light guy at the to do the stage. That's not Travis, you know, set up the gates out there and the fences and you know what I'm saying? He's paid too.
People are confused is because it's called Astroworld, you know, it's called his festival. So people are confused because he is essentially like the host of the festival, but essentially it's like Live Nation's thing.
Right. It's their event. He's just the entertainer at the event.
I would say if anybody is the main people, it would probably be Live Nation and Houston Police Department.
City of fucking Houston, yes.
Yeah, whoever's giving out the licenses for them to be able to do that in that particular space and make things are enforced. I would say if anything, it's them.
Yeah.
And the city.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. City of Houston. They didn't have enough security. They didn't have enough medical. They didn't have shit. And did you say, Tierra, some of the police just fucking left? Because they were like, we can't even control this, so they just left. God, like, people do have to be I'm sorry. Yes, of course, accidents do happen, and we know that. Sometimes tragic accidents happen and people do die. Like, absolutely, some things may not have even been preventable because accidents just fucking happen. But that was a situation that there were shortcuts taken. There were things that should have been done, that would have been done if it was a white concert, to be completely honest, that did not get done because it was Travis Scott. And so since we know the type of shows that he puts on, and we know the type of entertainer that he is, and we know that he likes to get people turned up and fucking crazy and mosh pit and, you know, fuck the security and fuck this and fuck, okay. So we, as concert promoters, the ones who are fucking names on the dotted line, and the city of Houston and city police department, whatever the case may be, they were the ones that were in charge of keeping their fucking citizens safe, and they failed. Like, I hope they win that I hope those family members get that $8 billion straight up. Like, people have to be held accountable. And it's like something
they're not going to get the $8 billion, but they
probably not.
They got to go high first. Yeah.
They went as far as they can fucking go so that they can work even lower. What they do,
I mean, but I don't even know what the injury toll is. I mean, you've got I think 9 fatalities, and then countless, probably
injuries.
You know, hundreds of people who are injured. So, I mean, honestly, they should fucking bankrupt Live Nation. Live Nation should be scared shitless right now. You know, they should really be scared that they're gonna that this is over for them. You know, the city of Houston should be worried that they're fixing to get come after. But I don't know, is city of Houston even in any of that lawsuit? Do y'all know?
I don't know, but see, what's going to happen is they have to have special insurance to hold these.
Right.
So what's going to happen is they're going to pay out a big fee, and then Live Nation will not be able to book another. I mean, they would have to put so much to get insurance again. That's what's going to bankrupt them, if anything. They're not going to have to. They're not paying a dime. It's the insurance that they went through. So to insure the event, they're going to pay, and then you best believe damn near impossible for them to get insurance because of this claim. I mean, if I look at it, if I look at through an insurance, insurance eyes, right? So if I have a underwriter and I see that there's been a lot of claims or a big payout, you're not getting underwritten. You're not getting insurance. You gotta go to Peter and Paul or somebody else. You're not getting insurance through State Farm.
Somebody's gonna bail them out because y'all have. I don't know if y'all know like what all Live Nation does, but Live Nation, like the biggest concerts that you see, the biggest names, is usually Live Nation.
Yeah.
So I'll share this with you.
They can make this money back, and if I'm an insurance company, I'm probably going to insure them because they're going to make this money back, and they're going to make sure this doesn't happen again as this company. So most likely they're not going to be bankrupt because they're like what they say, too big to fail. They're kind of like too big to fail because they have the biggest acts under Live Nation, the biggest acts. They're overseas, they're everywhere. So it's like,
so
I feel like. Go ahead, Sophie.
No. I was going to say they do put on the biggest shows. 2009, Lady Gaga came out with her first album, and I was a lead tech on that whole year-long tour. That was her first tour with the Pussycat Dolls, Lady Gaga, and Neo. And the work that goes into setting up venues it's a lot, but it's quick. So it's kind of like a carnival. You can make mistakes setting up a Ferris wheel and that bitch roll off them two things and hold it up, and the next thing you know, you got a lawsuit. But this situation, I think Denise is right. Live Nation is going to still do concerts. Now, insurance, and who knows? Live Nation may do, they may sell the name and be done with Live Nation and call
that would be smart. That would be smart.
Call themselves something else.
Right. And so
disassociate from that brand.
Exactly. And Live Nation has made them money for the last 23 years, 24 years, whatever it is. And so who knows? And
I think Live Nation owns a bunch of venues. Who owns like all the House of Blues venues? Is that Live Nation?
Live Nation and O2 arenas. O2 arenas are everywhere. Okay. I was in Australia and I didn't know O2 Arena was owned. In Bournemouth, England, everywhere. O2 Arena is huge in Europe. O2.
Wow. And so that's why they went for $8 billion. I said, okay.
Because they know they got it. Their pockets is deep as shit. They got it.
The thing is, who Travis Scott would have as a lawyer versus what Live Nation is going to have as a
whole different ballgame.
Right.
But
are they going after Travis, or are they only going after Live Nation right now?
They're going after Travis.
They're going after him too. Okay.
I think
he was okay.
Several people like Live Nation, Travis, and they're going after several people.
Wow.
It's unfortunate.
I mean, it's just unfortunate. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's just unfortunate on all sides because it's like, that was totally preventable to that measure. I don't think to that measure. Would it probably been something crazy going on and some problems? Absolutely. I don't think you can control something that large and not have no incidents. But it could have been a better plans made for exit strategies and crisis.
That's
training.
the part. The safety issue. The safety aspect.
Yeah, like
come on. Speaking of O2 Arena, matter of fact, O2 Arena in England, there was a girl that fell off the balcony in O2 Arena. Now, it's probably, I'm guessing, 35, 40 feet on top of people, though. So she fell, and I don't know what came of it because I was on the tour. I was leaving the next morning. But, she literally fell. And last we heard that she was suing was the venue, which was O2 Arena, because the railing wasn't high enough. But, these things happen, and shit.
They'll get their PR game going and figure out.
It's a machine. It is like a machine. Yeah. They know how to handle shit like this. And like I said,
Olivia Pope type
okay.
Get it situated. The fixer.
Crisis management is in full effect. They're all going to be distancing away from each other. Travis is going to be distancing himself away from Live Nation. Live Nation is going to be distancing themselves from Travis Scott. Just all parties are going to have a whole lot going on. I'm just interested to see how that's all going to play out because that is so tragic.
Yeah. Well, and you see, like, Nike pushed the rollout of his shoe out until just a couple days ago. So it was supposed to release, I guess, like right after Astroworld had taken place. And they're like, yeah, we're going to hold off on the shoe release
We're going to do these Six Flags shoes instead of the Astroworld shoes.
I mean, that was Nike just thinking about, like, if I put the shoe out, right?
Protecting their ass.
And they looking at Travis, even if Travis is not, they looking at Travis as like, right now this is not a good time for him.
Right.
So they're going to pull back on that stuff. I can see McDonald's doing the same thing if McDonald's was just releasing his sandwich or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
I can see them.
Well, you got to do damage control. There's damage control for everybody involved with this. And it has to be done. I mean, nobody wants to lose everything they got. Live Nation, now it seems to be, is going to be the biggest payer outer. Is that a word? Payer outer?
Right.
I would
right.
Too.
Yeah,
crazy,
I expect them to.
I went to an EDM concert like pre-pandemic, and it was for Diplo. And this was Diplo. I feel like he was at his prime probably like 10 years prior to whenever I went to this concert. And I was a grown woman, and I was with my ex who was 6'3", and he was a big dude. And he was literally elbowing people to get them off of us because people were that bad. And this venue, it was a nice sized venue, but it was nowhere near the size of what it would be like at a festival. Nowhere near. You know what I mean? And it was like, and this is and Travis Scott is in his prime.
Right.
But I don't think he wasn't in his prime.
Right.
So I can't imagine like the mayhem that it had to be. And I don't know and then they said that people were like sneaking in too. I think that was like
the motherfucker, before it even started, there probably were thousands of people who rushed the gates and like broke into this shit.
And this is where Travis may get a little bit sticky because he was encouraging them to do that.
Yep.
They said. Technically,
we got to be careful what we say sometimes.
Have to be careful what you put out there because people, you can't get in the psyche of another human being and what they may think that is. That's the same thing. What they think Trump should be held accountable for the January 6th thing. So is he really
inciting a riot? Is inciting a riot? Shit.
He had full unleaded gas in their asses up for that. That's crazy.
Yes. And did you see that the one lady, the white chick, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to jail for the next 6 months or whatever, and I'm just gonna focus on losing weight and yoga."
Pounds. Yeah, yoga. She said if I lose 30 pounds, it was worth it. I was like, prison? Really?
So then, of course, here lies another issue, right? Like the fucking sentencing is so pathetically weak that they laugh at doing 60 days in jail. Like what?
Nobody else for killing the officers, or like, is anything going on with that?
No, not really.
Not yet.
No. It's not.
That's what's tripping me out about that. Nobody's talking about the fact that people actually died.
Right.
They want to act like this shit didn't happen.
And not only that, Denise, these are the same people that be like, protect the blue.
Right.
Blue lives matter. Blue lives matter.
Y'all don't get me started. Y'all gonna make me go have a drink tonight.
Does that make any sense? So,
no.
Is Trump culpable for that?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. He incited violence. If you incite violence, if you incite a riot, like there's criminal charges for that. Like a gangster would be charged for inciting a fucking riot. A gangster would be charged for inciting violence. Like, there was a case a couple years ago, y'all probably remember, the girl who like her and her boyfriend broke up and she basically like shit talked him so heavily into killing himself that he killed himself. Yeah. And they found that little bitch guilty. Like, she got charged with, I don't know, but she was guilty of whatever she got charged for. This is the
one that was on the internet, was it not? They were FaceTiming and she was talking shit?
Yes! Okay. And like had called him a million times that day and texted him a million times that day. Was like, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. When are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? You're not going to do it. And that motherfucker killed himself. Like, shouldn't his family be able to go after her family for raising a piss-ass little girl? Like, I just read something in the local paper recently, and I don't know if it's legislatively being introduced or if it's just something that's being talked about, but there's conversation of if you're involved in a drunk driving accident and you kill a child's parents in your drunk driving accident, like the offender that killed the parents in a drunk driving accident should be on the hook for paying child support to those children who no longer have parents because you killed them in a DWI until the kids are like 18 years old. And I was like, oh boy, why should this fucking kid have to grow up with no financial support because you fucking, you it was an accident, but it was a preventable one. Don't get in the fucking car if you've been drinking alcohol. Just don't get in the fucking car, period. And then we don't have this problem. But if you kill the parents of a kid in a DWI, they're talking about going after the perpetrator for fucking child support. And I'm like, I support that shit. Like, I really do. I think that if we hold people's feet to the fire sometimes a little bit more, it's gonna, the ripple effect is gonna, it's gonna change.
Nikki, we don't do it at all. That's the problem.
I know.
I tell you what, and I say this quite often. It's like if you give, and because of what I talk about so often, and people that get away with it, white folks, they just skate on some shit. I mean, like literally just skate without a stick. That's how they get away. If you give them an inch, they're going to take 2 miles. And when you don't see repercussions, the next person down the street thinks they can do the same damn thing. Yeah. And that's why we always see these Karens charging people up in the store. And this is what I get. This is what I got put in jail for 30 days for. Until we start batting them in their motherfucking mouths when they approach. And I'm not a violent person.
Right.
But I'm just slap the smoke out of somebody.
I support violence. I do.
if I ever get approached in a store and somebody, and I don't care, I'm throwing caution to the wind.
When I tell you I'm waiting for my moment, I'm not playing. I'm waiting for my fucking moment.
It doesn't happen to me, Nikki. I told you this. That shit would not, I kind of want it to. Just so I can test these skills. Like I said, I graduated in 88. I'm old, but I ain't super old. I will still bust somebody's ass. But that's the thing. It just doesn't happen to me. And I don't know if I just look crazy or what. But
Tier, what were you saying?
Hell if I know.
It was about just holding them accountable. We were talking about the drunk drivers and the parents.
So that was the whole idea behind having insurance to be able to pay out, large amounts for death. But it's just a whole nother layer of accountability. I think that when you get into paying the child support, that makes them a little bit more aware. But I don't think it still do anything for a drunk driver. I think the drunk driver just doesn't care.
Well, and it isn't always that a person drinking and driving doesn't care. It usually takes about. But think about it. How many times have you drank and drove alcohol and never got caught? How many times do you make it home? Every time we make it home, it's like, I'm good. Okay.
It's the risk.
Nervous.
Or how many times have you made it home and you don't remember fucking getting home? And you wake up the next morning and you're like, nobody else is here. So it's just me. I'm at the house. You go out front to make sure your fucking car's in the driveway, and it is. And you say, I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to drink like that again. I'm never going to, oh my God, I made it home. Thank you, Jesus. All of a sudden you want to go to church. Thank you for letting me make it home. And next week, and you're doing the same shit. So, I mean, I'm just saying, alcohol is alcohol. Let's not act like it ain't what it is, you know? People do it because it's safe and successful until it's not. And then when it's not, it's usually because they've gotten arrested or they've had an accident.
Vehicular.
We know what you're saying.
I'm trying to. Vehicular.
Homicide
the same. Is it the same? Is it like drunk driving compared to speeding compared to accidental hitting a pedestrian, killing them? Is it hit and run? Is it all? Should it be all handled the same?
I don't think everything can be handled the same, but I think that if you can prove that there's recklessness or negligence or impairment or something I don't see why that can't be up for discussion.
What about sleepiness? Like I fell asleep behind the wheel.
You shouldn't be behind the wheel of a vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing. And there have been cases of, I remember once I had to go recertify my license because I teach DWI shit, right? I remember once I had to recertify my license, and there was an instructor in the in-service who had somebody come through her class who was arrested for a DWI. And it was somewhere in the Dallas area. This was probably 10 years ago or so. So this is before they did blood draws on people, like unless you had a intoxication manslaughter type of situation. So everybody just blew or didn't blow. So they pulled this lady over for speeding. She was reckless driving. And, signs of impairment, the second part of the definition of intoxication is everything other than the number. So it's your appearance, your smell, your everything. And she had very nervous-like behavior, very, they basically said that she looked like she was under the influence of stimulants. They thought maybe she had been doing cocaine, maybe some other type of stimulant. And in Texas, you can get arrested for a DWI under the influence of drugs and prescriptions too. A DWI in Texas is drugs or alcohol. So it didn't matter that it wasn't alcohol, but they're like, what the fuck else is it? Because you've got questionable behaviors. They kept pushing her about DWI, and she's like, no, I haven't been drinking, haven't done drugs, none of those things. Apparently she had like 15 espresso shots or something. And like, she's fucking wired. And so these cops, they couldn't tell the difference. I mean, they didn't fucking know. And anybody who's been arrested for a DWI is going to tell a cop, like, oh, I only had 1 or 2 drinks. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like the lady. So she's like, I haven't been drinking. I haven't been doing drugs. These cops hear this, every time they pull somebody over for a DWI. They're like, yeah, whatever, bitch. Will you blow? She's like, no, I haven't been drinking. They take her to jail, of course, for refusal. And long story short, the case was dismissed and all that because there was no alcohol or no drugs involved in this lady's DWI. But had she, ran a light or couldn't stop fast enough to slow down for the car in front of her and hit that car and injured or killed somebody, hell yeah, she would be negligent, because even though she wasn't under the influence of something, there was mood-altering substances causing a change in your normal ability to stop and speed up. And, I mean, your reaction time is affected. So sleeping and driving, hell yeah. I mean, I used to get people all the time come through class who got arrested for a DWI who fell asleep in their car, fell asleep while driving.
Yes, and you've seen that with Tracy Morgan when he had that incident, and that truck driver, because Walmart was working them to death.
Yeah, that's right.
And still is. Those truck drivers were just trying to have keep a paycheck going because they ain't paying them shit. And the guy fell asleep behind the wheel and ended up killing a couple people on that bus with Tracy Morgan, injuring him. And they went out and sued Walmart.
Yep.
I don't know whatever happened to the guy, but I know they sued Walmart and won. Because
now that I didn't know. I didn't know that part. But
Tracy Morgan got paid. Not that it's any consolation for what happened.
Right.
But I also know that there's times when people take Ambien in particular, because I know, because I have taken it.
Those I used to get all the time in class. Fuck, those are wild.
Long after you have taken the drug and it's supposed to be kind of okay, you still have the effects of that medication in your body, and you are on autopilot. Literally,
it is lights out, but you're walking, talking, drinking, driving, dancing, like you. It is amazing how many folks I have who would come through class who are arrested for a DWI under the influence of Ambien.
Does Ambien make you sleep?
Yes. Ambien is it's a sleeping medication. Okay, but a lot of the times what would happen, at least for the people that would come through my classes, they would take their medication and they would go through their nighttime routine. Like and sometimes people had drank at home, but it wasn't like they were out at a bar popping fucking Ambien. Like, that's just like, you don't do that when you take Ambien because it's about to be lights out. So, and generally people who take Ambien would find more restful sleep if they kind of followed a routine leading up to going to bed. And so just kind of getting the brain into that sleep state cycle, right? And so people were like, I took my meds and brushed my teeth and took my shower and locked my doors and did my this and did my that and got in fucking bed. And the next thing I know, I'm in the backseat of a cop car. The next thing I know, I'm butt-ass naked in my driver's seat, looking out my window, talking to a cop because I sleep naked, so you found me naked. And this cop doesn't know what the fuck you're on. They just know this is not normal. We're going to go ahead and take you to jail. impound your car for $400 tonight, get you a 25, not even a 25, get you a $7,000 attorney, because that's about what a DWI is going to cost you, to fight it, to say, oh, it was just my prescription medication. You get the charge dismissed, you get it reduced, but you still have already paid about $10,000 into the system. I mean, and this was reoccurring, and we've had cases where you've had fatal car crashes where people were under the influence of Ambien and killed somebody while driving, and they were charged.
And Tiger Woods is another one that just flipped his car because of prescription drugs.
Yep.
Anderson Cooper on CNN talked about
that's right.
How he had a big problem and addiction
to Ambien,
and where he was a lot of times in autopilot. He was never aware of what was going on.
Fuck.
He was just, thank God he was in a routine, so it just kind of, he flowed. I took Ambien once and will never take it again.
Just like that.
Literally, a very small, I'm talking about when I say a very small blue pill, put me down for over 24 hours straight. I'm talking about full, I didn't shit, I didn't eat, I didn't piss. For 24 hours, I was in a coma. I said, I woke up delusional, like, what the fuck is going on? I said, after I was able to come to, I said, don't you ever prescribe me Ambien again. That's a dangerous motherfucking drug.
Wow.
Right there. 24 hours or over 24 hours.
I had a lady come to class once who had 2 Ambien DWIs, and I remember asking her, I was like, are you taking this shit anymore? She's like, no. And thought about going and suing her fucking doctor for the Ambien prescription, because even though the bottle says what you are and aren't supposed to do, she was like, on my first DWI, she's like, nobody told me. Nobody told me nothing. They just said this would help. They just said this would help you sleep. You know, don't drink. This will help you sleep. And she goes, that was it. She's like, so I'm thinking, okay, cool. I had this one girl come to class. She took an Ambien and forgot that, like, her dog didn't have food. She was like, PetSmart is open till 9 p.m. She's like, I'll hurry up and book it to PetSmart and get back home before the Ambien kicks in. She takes her little dog. They go to PetSmart. She goes, I remember getting out of the car and walking to the doors thinking, fuck, I'm not going to make it. And she goes, that was it. She goes, the next thing I know, I'm in fucking Travis County jail. My dog's at the impound and I'm in jail. And they told me I've been arrested for a DWI. She's like, I never even made it out of the fucking parking lot. You know, so I mean, in a lot of cases, you know, especially when we look at like impaired driver type situations, they do go after, you know, the driver negligently, or you know, civilly, you know, for money, involved in some of these cases, have gone after doctors in cases where you've got doctors who have written prescriptions for, you know, medications that will fucking knock you out like that for 12 hours, but allow you to be, yes, you know, the pain, the opiates, you know, the opiate DWIs are through the fucking roof.
See, yes. You know, my dad, I just never got into it. I was always scared, like, because I have an addictive personality. So I know if I try some shit and I halfway like it, it's about to be on. I just knew
what I knew. I come from drug addicts and alcoholics. I couldn't fuck around. Like it wasn't worth toying with that. But to know that you can be, you know, liable in situations that are genuinely accidents, you know, that was always the saddest part, is somebody involved in an intoxication manslaughter charge. Yeah, it was an accident. They didn't mean to do it, but it's a wrap. It's over. You know, so why can't we hold people accountable, you know, if there's enough information to support that parents had a hand in bad rearing and bought a gun or allowed an environment to, you know, manifest behaviors within their child, and their child goes out and kills people or rapes people or attacks people. Like, I think that needs to happen.
You know, Nikki, they also used to, when kids didn't go to miss school for so long, you know,
so
many days. They used to go after parents.
Yes. Yes. And parents went to jail. Shit. Yes. Parents went to jail for kids not going to school. Like, and that was the only way that sometimes you were able to get these little fuckers back into the building, is because they was finna go after your parents.
Yep.
And I remember, I think there was one time for my son, it was either Kai or Kasha, one of the two. I don't remember which of the two it was. But they tried to come talking to me about, you know, there's so many tardies, there's so many, this, that, and the third. Like, we're gonna have to go to court. Like, the fuck I am. It's not gonna happen. But just the fact that it was threatened to me, I was like, y'all motherfuckers better not be late no more, or I'm gonna escort you to class and make sure you get there on time, because I'm not gonna deal with these people in this courtroom. So to a certain degree, of course, it did light a fire under my ass too, which meant I had to step it up to my kids and let them know they need to get to where they're supposed to be at. But there's a lot of times where you had kids who were missing, of 30 days a month, they were missing 27 days of school. Like, come on, where the fuck are you at all month long? Where are your parents? Like, what are you doing 5 days a week when you're supposed to be at school?
And that can also be bad, and again, attack single women and Black and brown parents, because at the same time, if mom don't have a vehicle, if they don't have lights, if they struggling to have money,
kid may have to work,
then you're holding the parent accountable. And they're getting charged truancy fees and things like that, and showing up to court and missing days of work. It becomes a hindrance also to the parents. So it's like, just, I think what, like Denise was saying, a lot of laws that are created really, Black people, get we
suffer more. Yeah,
we suffer at the hands and more. I mean, even if it seems logical, right? Like, you should be held accountable for your kids coming to school, but then we don't know the all outs and ends of what's going on. So then it becomes more than that. So I don't know. I don't know how you can hold parents accountable for a lot of things, because again, I can tell my son to do this, X, Y, and Z all day. Drugs are bad. This is bad. Da, da, da. But they have their own mind and own will at a certain extent. So it's like, I can't sit there and at a certain point, you got to let them have some freedoms. I can't have him sheltered in the house all the time to make sure he doesn't do wrong.
Yeah. But you're also not, selling dope at the house and got, bricks on the fucking coffee table.
And you don't let them just run amok.
Right.
My younger sister, she has 4 boys. Matter of fact, she's my adopted mixed younger sister. I used to have to fight for all the time in school because people used to pick on her. But she has 4 boys that were hard headed, and my sister, she ain't a big girl. She's, 5'3", 130 pounds maybe. But she let him know, I don't play no games. And when the truancy officer started calling and, all of that stuff started, nope. And got them all in order. They all graduated from college. Matter of fact, well, except for the last one, he plays for Baylor. They won this past weekend. But other than that, she made the rules, and she was a single mother.
Yeah,
But Stokely, I see this all the time in Black, and I'm just going to specifically talk about Black communities, where you see these Black on Black killings, or you want to call it however you want to call it, these young men killing each other, and I'm like, well, where's the parents? You got your 16-year-old out there killing folks. What responsibility of the parent to make sure that child, is given the love, the nurturing to not want to do those things? And I'm like, it's very hard. It's difficult if a parent has to be at two jobs, you know what I'm saying, and not have the ability to be at home all the time and sit at home and have that luxury of just being a stay-at-home parent. And then father is gone, or we don't know who father is, so it's just you. So it becomes an issue where these kids are raising themselves, and the streets is really raising them. And then when they go out there and commit these heinous acts, we ask, well, where the fuck are their parents? It's like,
they're working.
They work.
Yeah. Well, but you guys know that was all fucking designed that way too, though.
That's
so
part of the system.
It's just like, it's like, how many more layers can you peel off when the fucking common denominator stays the same? Like, this is how it was designed. Not to say that, like, single white mothers don't have issues with their children, but generally their fucking economic and their environmental setup, not to say that white people are not in projects and shit like that either, but there's still a better fucking setup, than it is for Black children who come from single parent homes, whose, mom doesn't have the same income. Like, their projects look a little bit different than the white kids' projects does. Their apartment projects look different. Their neighborhoods look different. Their access to resources is even still different. Now, in every single case, no, because I mean, obviously, there's other parts of the country where resources are challenging, just period. But still, we know. We know who gets the shit end of the stick, and that's how it's fucking designed. So it's like when they say where's the parents, it's like, okay, yeah, that is a great statement, but at the same time, is the parents, part of the systematic breakdown that has caused them to be why they're in the position that they're in and can't get out of the situation that they're in. Everybody had Black friends growing up who had single moms who she busted her fucking ass. She wasn't out there on no bullshit. She tried the best she could to take care of her children and do all the right things and provide the best that she could with what she had. And it was like, so yes, to a certain extent. So yes, Tiara, to your point, kids are going to do what they want to do. But if you start off with a foundation that is fucking designed for failure, it's like swimming up creek. Like, it's futile, almost. So I do understand how the slope can be slippery and slide back down the wrong direction. Absolutely. How it can be punitive for the wrong people in the wrong situations. Denise, did you want to address the Dave Chappelle liability, culpability? Did you want to hit on that at all before we wrap up?
I feel like that's a longer conversation, but I can just kind of say what I was thinking about. You would have to watch the stand-up, but in this last stand-up he has called The Closer.
Yeah, we did.
He was talking about his trans friend. I think her name was Daphne.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about how he, earlier in his career, he would say a lot of like crazier stuff than what people consider crazy now. And he was talking about how he had this exchange with her at a live show. And they were just kind of like going back and forth, and it was playful, and it was great, and it was this, and it was that. And then it got to this point where there was just like a real statement that she made. And I don't even want to misquote it because I think you just need to watch it to hear, what was said. But from there, they formed a real like relationship. And she was actually a stand-up comedian too, so he had her open up for him like that. Long story short, when the trans community was, well, not just the trans community, but the LGBT community was like mad at Dave Chappelle because of his jokes and things like that, because she had a real friendship with him and real relationship and understanding, she was defending him on social media. And what happened from there is because she was defending him, people from her community were like attacking her.
Turned on her.
Did she kill herself?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's my point. And so she eventually did commit suicide maybe 6 days later.
Yeah, it was like a week later.
It wasn't too long after the initial attack that she committed suicide. And so I think this is like a longer, bigger, grander conversation.
Yeah, it definitely is, because I have some stuff I want to add to that, actually.
Yeah, you know what? I tend to find that we do eat our own. So Black people eat each other, eat each other more. Women are harder on other women. And these groups tend to attack each other in a way that if someone else was to attack you, you would have a problem with. Because I believe one of the people that was really trying to raise awareness and try to come at Dave Chappelle was outed as being homophobic, and he was he was gay. It was just some of the
same. Out of fucking line with his mouth too. Yeah, racist. I mean, like, oh my God, he was. The whole thing. Yes.
So it was so wild and bizarre. It was like, yet these same people that are preaching to others, but you gotta respect, don't even respect themselves.
Right. So when I say I defend gay people, women, I'm pulling for everything Black. Y'all already know that. I'm pulling for everybody. Except for the GOP and Trump. can't take them hoes. I can't do it. I try.
It ain't got to. You ain't got to. That's the one thing you get to do is choose.
Everybody else, I'm pulling for. And I would
Right.
never bash a gay person for being gay. Love who you love. I don't
Right.
care.
Right.
I would never bash, a woman. Be who you are. You are a beautiful person, strong and whatever. But like you said, this dude bashing gay people, calling folk out their names and just as racist. But I used to work with a cat that was like that. Super, super gay. I didn't have no problem till he threw the N-word out there. Then I had a problem. We've known each other 3 years. And when he said that, again, I threw caution to the wind and cussed his bitch ass out.
But you know what? But you know what? This is the issue, right? Because art's supposed to be able to have this license to be able to be open and real and authentic. When you have, whether it's poetry, you should.
Right.
It may be in harsh taste, but there may be poems that are very, very distasteful in some regards. But the author or the whoever's giving that poem to the world is trying to convey something, just like music, just like comedy. Should have a license to be able to speak freely and have fun and let loose, and everybody don't take it as more than that. We should be able to make fun of everybody in a certain sense, long as it's, in a way that is, I think as long as the joke is funny, it's funny, right?
Right.
If it's a bad joke, it's a bad joke. I'm like,
Right.
the joke is terrible. And it got nothing to do with race or gender or anything like that. So I didn't understand where LGBT felt like they were above white people, black women, all these other people, where they could be attacked or not attacked or spoken about in comedy, and it's no issue. But then no one dares touch that community. You can't have, you can't be a blunt of a joke. And I just felt like, you gotta loosen up a little bit, because my thing is, if no one can joke about you, everything is supposed to be serious, then why do we even want to be bothered with you? Because you're not a person that I want to, would want to engage with.
Somebody made a really good point, but they were saying, I think this is the Ice from the Joe Budden podcast, is like, well, equality would mean everybody gets clowned.
Right. That's what I think. Like, he went after every, like, the white gays wasn't mad at the white jokes.
No, that's the thing. But even with the whole Chappelle closer show, there was a bigger message than the LGBTQ.
They didn't want to catch that.
I know they did. That's my point.
Yeah. But they didn't want to.
They didn't want to.
They knew it, but they didn't want to.
Exactly.
And that's my point about this particular thing. It's like, it goes back to who the hell's going to be responsible?
Yeah. I mean, you could joke about the baby and whatever, like when he was talking about the baby, and he was trying to show them the error in their ways, and they literally just skated past that.
Dismiss that.
That's people don't want to hold themselves accountable for what they're doing. They just want to have these torches and burn and be these people that, we're going to shut this down and stuff like that, and run to social media, which is, I think, is the issue at its core of everything right now is social media.
Do you think that is, do you really think that that's the I hate Facebook. I'll tell you the truth, God's honest truth. I hate it.
Think about it.
Well, let me ask you this, because
like crazy about each other and nobody got pissed off. It's when people come together and then they have this crazy loud voice. But no one was offended like this before social media. No one.
That's true. That's a good point. I don't know if that's the. Go ahead, Denise. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it was harder to rear people in one direction prior to social media. Now it's much easier, and the consistency of it is more regular because everybody is on social media all day, every day. Back in the day, you had to sit in front of the TV at a certain time, and that's what happened. Versus I wake up in the middle of the night, boom, I'm on my phone. During the middle of the day, I'm on my phone. So I'm getting all this information. And
it's real time. A lot of it is real time. So you're in a situation, I just don't feel like. I think even with social media being the cancer of it all, I think that we have to back up. We have to
You think
back up.
cancel culture would exist like the way it is now if it wasn't for social media?
No, because you couldn't reach masses to try to recruit them in canceling.
You're reaching
Think
a
of
lot
Dave
of people.
Chappelle's show. The Dave Chappelle show would talk hella shit. Everybody was laughing.
Exactly. So what we need to do is realize that there's a root to all of this. We always hanging on these branches and all this bullshit up top. We need to get to the root of the problem to stop it. And nobody wants to address what the root is. Everything that we deal with on a daily basis, there's a root to it. And so,
what do you think the root of that then? Like, where they're wanting to shut Dave Chappelle down because all of a sudden now it's offensive to say these things, but on his Chappelle show, nobody gave a fuck. Everybody laughed.
I know. But it is. I'm gonna start with, again, Nikki said it earlier. The system is working the way that it was designed to work, regardless of whether it's you're gay, your color, whatever. It's the system, the structure, the way that it was put in place. And so everybody gets offended about shit. If anybody has a reason to be offended, it's us. We should be pissed off every single day of our life until they change the system. And the system has to be broken and then rebuilt. There's no other way. There's no other way for us to change this.
Well, and Kevin mentioned in the comments.
That's why I said earlier, until you start making examples of these people and batting them in their motherfucking mouths, and then they can run and tell about that, I guarantee you they won't call you the N-word ever again. Yeah, but you have to make an example.
Keyboard warriors, hiding behind screens and saying whatever the hell without repercussion because you don't know who they are, you don't know where they live, you don't know. And so, I mean, this gives people another form of power that they,
they wouldn't otherwise have.
They wouldn't have,
So you guys let me know if you're ever out in public, ladies, if anybody disrespects you or Karen comes up to you and acts a fool with you, you let me know. I want you to pull your phone out and videotape it before you knock her ass out. Because I'm going to put together a collage of shit. I really do. I really want. That's the only way they're gonna get the message.
He said a collage.
Is that what it's called? A collage? A whole 30 minutes.
I'm sure it is a lot of confrontations that we have knocked a couple of Karens out, but we never seen it because we're not recording.
Right.
And we're probably arrested after it. And
hello.
To have a charge.
Don't get no trouble on account of me. I'm just saying shit. That's the only way we. And I see these big old up the street at the gym. You got these big old dudes come out the gym, big old white dudes come out the gym talking crazy noise, and they're the type that would call you that and say that to you. And as soon as you hit them upside the head, the police are there and you're gonna get arrested. I've seen it too many times.
Oh yeah.
I'm just sick of it.
And you have to be careful. Like, I was looking at some negative stuff on social media, right? And I wanted to speak on it, right? But I was like, every response doesn't deserve a response.
There you go.
That's true.
Because a lot of times people are trying to provoke you. This is what they do. And so
they get off on it.
Yeah. Like, I've never seen such craziness like that before in my, 40 years living of people trying to push and poke people as much as I see on social media or things like this to try to get people to respond to them or whatever have you. And so because I sometimes can be unfiltered and I just want to go out and say what is on my mind, but now I'm trying to reserve that and my sanity a lot. Because a lot of times you start getting mixed into these battles with people online. It's like, I just spent 20 minutes. What the fuck? I don't even know.
And that's your energy. Like, your whole fucking energy gets thrown off by that shit. Like,
Can I say this? I've been doing it lately, and let me tell you, it's better than responding.
You've been what lately?
I do this thing. I'm about to tell you. I do this thing in real life, and it is great. My friend told me about this thing. I may have mentioned this on Freethinkers before, but he was saying he was reading a book. And it was saying, if someone gives you a gift, person A tries to give person B a gift, but person B doesn't accept that gift. Whose gift is it? It's still person A's gift.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes at me with the negativity, I'm like, if I go back and forth with you, you're taking energy from me and I'm giving it to you. However, if you try to give me that negative energy and I just simply do not engage, you gotta sit with that negative energy. And I'm telling you, hey, I'm gonna be light.
That's
I'm
there
gonna
you go.
do
That's a good
nothing.
way to look at it.
I'm
But some of that
chilling.
should be so juicy. I just want to get in their ass.
Oh
Oh
no, you
wait,
know why?
I
Because
know.
I'm going to use this and that negative energy you tried to send me. I'm gonna actually just focus on what I got going on. And I'm gonna put all my energy into that. And you're just gonna be mad because you're gonna be salty because you still worried about me. And I'm worried about getting my shit done. And my shit is getting done because
There you
I'm
go.
focused on myself. And that's why you cannot engage with these people because they will rob you of your fucking energy. And
Yep.
you
They
should
really will.
because that's your life force. You be feeling drained and shit. You tired, don't know why. Now you got a headache. For what?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
And this is
Yep.
their whole role. Misery wants that company. So
I
they're
was
That's
just
right.
trying
gonna
to
say misery love company, so damn.
Yep.
it's holding yourself accountable for your actions and saying, I don't have to react every single time somebody is coming for me.
Right.
And that's power, like literally, because the first impulse is to react. You
Respond,
defend,
yeah.
you respond, whatever. And it's like, I don't have to. Just like what Denise said, I don't have to give that. They don't deserve
That's a
that from
good one.
me.
That was a good one, Denise. I think I'm gonna try that a few times, and not all the time. I can't
I know
promise
it's
that shit.
hard. It's hard. I
Wait.
had to tell
I can't
my
promise y'all.
therapist, I was like, I'm the person that I think I'm a little argumentative sometimes, where I gotta get my point across. Like it's like, why do I always have to feel like I need to get that point across? A lot of times it doesn't even, just you shouldn't have to care that much that this person
Yeah.
needs to know what you feel like.
But
Long as
see,
you know that's what you do.
absolutely, and I agree. Now I'm going to say this, and then I'm gonna end mines because I got to get to bed. I play golf tomorrow morning, so I am the only black person in my office, the only one, and so oftentimes I feel a certain way, and maybe it's me, just that coming out of me.
No, it's true.
Um,
It's honest.
do what?
I said, no, it's probably true and honest. The way you feel, you can, things like that is energy you get.
Exactly. So that's the energy that I'm I know they saying things. And again, I'm the one person, my boss will say anything to anybody except for me. So I've seen him get mad at people. I mean, like fired up saying some shit. I'd be like, man, I quit. Shit, you ain't gonna talk to me. That he has never come to me like that. And I'm knocking on wood right now because I don't want it to get to that point. But I know that there are things that are said in the office, and I have bitten my tongue to not take it to another level because I always try to get them with common sense, history. Well, this is why, and all of that, all that explanation stuff.
Oh, I hate doing that.
Oh,
I
I
gotta
know, and
explain my shit to you. Like, what?
yes, it just kind of wears me out. But again, like I said, being the only black person in the office, and you know things are said, but it's tough sometimes. It's tough because I want to go in on just about everybody in there some of the time, but I can't because I'll be the one going to jail, and so I have to go in and shut my door and just pick up my phone and play my little old dominoes or something,
And that's not right. Like that's
That's
not
like a
fucking
hostile.
It's
right.
not
To me,
right,
A
that
but
sounds
hostile
like a
work
hostile
environment.
environment. Yeah.
Yes. This
but the
is
thing,
not fucking okay.
it's not okay. And the thing about it, as soon as I go in there to a meeting, for instance, we can have a meeting. My boss will come in there and say some old crazy shit, and I swear to God, I'm picking my shit up just like this, and I'm going back to my office. But it's like to them, it's no big deal, the shit that they say and do. And to me, it is a big deal. But I can't just vocally come out all the time. Now, I have checked a few motherfuckers around it, don't get me wrong. But I can't say as powerfully and strongly as I want to sometimes. And I hate it.
Well, but you know what? Maybe the takeaway could be that it doesn't matter what you say. Probably most of them aren't gonna fucking change no matter how or what you say it. So at that point, this is where you have to just fucking accept people for who they show you that they are and act according to that. And that don't make it any fucking better either. But since you are in a situation where you have to go to work and like you have to work at this place right now, like it's fucked up that anybody should even have to deal with that type of shit at work, straight up. Like, but you do. So it's like you can't even waste your energy on those people because this is where serenity prayer has to come into play really hard.
I can say that bitch in 7 different languages.
I know, that's right.
I'm just like I'm so over it. I'm so
yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know. But I think back what makes me do what I do is I go into my office, shut my door, and I'm thinking like I couldn't have worked in this around people like this in the 50s and the 60s and when I just couldn't have.
But we see it's been going on since then. Yeah. And it's still going on because somebody ain't holding these motherfuckers accountable. They're not being, and that's not your job to hold them accountable because you do work for somebody else. That's their job to hold them accountable. That's their job to put them in check and not contribute to a hostile work environment, you know. But
and I almost feel like they want me to snap on one of these folk so that they can just usher me
get
to
rid
the door.
of you. Get rid of you.
You know what?
Trying to provoke you.
You gotta play you gotta play that same game. You say everything you need to say, but with a smile. So it never comes off hostile, but it is the truth.
I'm gonna show my new veneers off to them
afterwards.
I'm just like, I can't, man, it's hard. It is hard.
Wow.
And you just, you know, code switching goes back to what I was saying about code switching. Okay, John. Okay, Jimmy. Okay, we're good. And I have to do that shit at work constantly. And I'm just like, no, he didn't just say that shit, you know?
But some cases you don't, though, too. Because I've said this before on the show where I was just like, I don't want to say this thing because then I don't want to come off like the angry Black woman. And I realized that I was just kind of like suppressing myself. And when I did, like, well, fuck it, I don't want to come off this way. However, I'm going to say this thing. That's on y'all if y'all view me that way. That ain't on me.
Right.
I said it earlier. I know I was told yesterday that I ruffle feathers at work. Well, y'all gonna be some featherless folk around there because your boy ain't I mean, it's just crazy. They literally expect me not to say things half the time that I do. And I mean, I don't bite my tongue often, but it's sometimes I have to be like, God, because I know I'm gonna say something that's real super fucked up.
God.
But you know what? And this is me with my anger, right? And I had to learn with my anger. I have to calm down first and then revisit. Right.
You have to get in a rational space first.
Because you'll handle it differently. You come at them differently. Right. You might be like, hey, John, let me pull you aside and talk to you about something that was on my mind. Instead of when you're in that actual moment.
In the throes of it.
Right? Yo, wait a minute. Who the fuck you talking to?
Fuck this job. Fuck these people.
I have said
wait a minute. I need my job. Hold on, wait a minute.
Said that before. I've said that. Who the fuck you talking to? Yep. Oh, you got me fucked up. Like I said, I went to a predominantly all-white high school at the time. So I can do that. But you brought every inch of black out of me. I don't know. I pray about it now. I just be like, ooh.
I know that's for me for anger. It's no telling what I will say when I'm in that moment. So, and it's a lot of times it's like, ooh, when I look back on, I'm like, ooh, that was really mean, or you know what I'm saying? I could have did that a little bit better.
There was a guy I worked with that used to just make me mad all the time because he would say stuff. His wife was from Brazil, I think, and he had a son with her. And when George Floyd got murdered, he called me one day and he's like, hey, man, I just wanted to talk to you because this has really touched me. Now, he was telling me stuff that I was like, I just didn't think he had it in him. So I'm thinking like, well, damn, so the conversation actually went really, really good that day. But leading up to that point, it was always something that he had an excuse for why the cops killed so-and-so, but this one kind of got to him, and he watched the video. He says, I watched it, and I was just like, he says, that's the shit that you were talking about.
No, that's denial. That's what that is. That's fucking denial.
Yeah, I mean, up until that point. And so he and I have actually gotten a lot cooler.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
We've gotten a lot cooler where we can have the conversations now, and he's more open to hearing. I mean, he's the type now that he'll see some stuff or read the stuff that doesn't even make the news. He'll read, did you hear about so-and-so and so-and-so? And the cops were fucked up and doing it. But it's almost like I've seen that switch with him. And he brings conversations to me where in the past he would have never brought this type shit to me.
Yeah.
And so I can appreciate him growing in that way. Where I think it's 15 other
healthy to evolve. And I think we should allow people to evolve, right? Yeah. Like, I think what we sometimes do is condemn people for something they did when I was 22. The hell, what mindset I was in at 22 compared to where I'm now, or 15 years old. So we do have to learn kindness, forgiveness, grace, and being able to, allow people to evolve. And I think sometimes what we do is we paint this picture of somebody for life. Like you did something really crazy when you were 19. And that's the same person that is at 42 or whatever age. And I think that's unfair. I think that's
unfair. Yeah. I just need them to learn some empathy. That's all. Just start with empathy and we can move forward from there and then we can go. So, But
yeah, I think that's the problem with cancel culture is that it doesn't leave space to grow. And that's why we got to get rid of that. And because it only affects Black people.
Yes.
To my points. But
right.
It's 11:30 my time.
Yes, we will wrap it up. We'll wrap it up. But it was a good conversation, it was a good conversation, and I think it's definitely something that hopefully, I know the four of us will probably continue thinking about this, and those who are watching this show eventually will maybe think about some of this, because this is a precedent, and this is happening. So we're going to watch how this whole thing takes place, and then I think from this point forward, just like what could potentially take place in future situations where is somebody else to blame? How else can we start holding people accountable? So yeah, definitely a great conversation. So I'm glad we got to do this, and I'm glad I got to see y'all's faces. Hadn't seen y'all in a couple weeks. I know Tierra been a little bit busy. But
I see you. Congratulations on your candles and all. I see you doing all kind of big time things.
Thank you. I appreciate that, guys.
Absolutely. And I know, do either of y'all, well, and Stokely, maybe you have some news to share as well, but do either of y'all want to hit some plugs real quick and share some news with the folks?
Denise, go ahead if you got something.
Y'all know what I'm here to plug.
Go ahead.
Make sure y'all go stream my music video. Maybe we are addressing grief and loss, and this video actually has some really, really beautiful interactions with people since putting this out and doing a few of the events that I threw. Screening was really dope. So y'all make sure y'all check it out, support, send it to people you know, put it on a playlist, comment, like, subscribe. Naughty Roland. Right. Roland's turning 1 on Sunday or Saturday.
Is it really?
Yeah, but maybe it's the one we're promoting right now.
Yeah, maybe it's a new one. Roland was last year, but yeah, and I will say, the visuals were dope as shit. The song, of course, I love. Like, it was a great piece. So I'm glad that you got to spend some time with us today, because I know you pretty much committed your whole entire fucking life to that album and to that track. For the last 6 months, 5 months,
something like that. Yeah, because I got like April.
Yeah, she got on social. You ever say she's on social media and everything.
Yeah, I know. I hit her up once. She was like, "No, I'm really not on at all." I was like, "Okay, I'll go to the text message."
Well, that's good.
I won't even hit you up on social media.
That's good for both of y'all. My dad used to always tell me, "Big time players do big time things at big times." So you guys keep doing what you do.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
I ain't got shit good going on. Y'all know I just got married a few months almost 60 days ago.
Okay.
Wow.
Shit,
It's official.
My 60-day anniversary coming up.
Oh.
I told her the other day, I said, baby, if you can make 60 days, you can make 60 years with me. So
That is
Right.
so
we good. We good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh.
Best thing ever happened to
Congratulations
you, boy.
again. Congratulations
Congratulations.
again.
Well, thank you.
That's
Hell
amazing.
yeah. Hell yeah. Give me some hope. It's still some room left. God dang it. I maybe still got some hope.
And you know what's so crazy about her is that she told me she couldn't stand me when she met me. I was like, shh. At 3 days, we went on 3 dates, and on the third date, I said, "You're gonna love me one day." And then she asked me to marry her. No, she's not pushing. I asked her.
Oh, don't you put her out there like that.
No, but I did tell her. I said,
how to make a marriage work, Freethinkers.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be awesome.
We can.
We can do that.
This is easier than me being single. I love this.
Wow.
This is
Wow.
good.
Oh, I love that.
It's healthy.
Oh.
It's healthy. I love it.
Hell yeah, I love that. Tiara, what about you? You wanna drop any links, drop any promos for yourself?
Continue to go on comfortandlight.com. I appreciate everybody's support. That stopped in at Black Wall Street Market in Lithonia, Georgia. Still got spaces in Roswell, a partner in Stockbridge, and a partner in Illinois. I've sold a wholesale order today, and I'm trying to go ahead and get 100 units ready for this new Black home shopping network type of show. Something to that for just Black businesses. So it's been a lot going on. So I'll continue to support, continue to like, continue to share, continue to follow the journey, because never know what's going to come next, and I look to pull everyone up with me when I go up.
Yeah, it's been awesome to watch. From like a couple candles to holy shit, she's got 3 fucking stores.
Oh, man, I tell you, I literally cried. I actually launched in February. I've been doing candles since this time last year, like October, but I launched the business in February, and I'm talking about I broke down and cried about a few times a day. I was just like, yo, I'm kind of scared when sometimes when you get big blessings, it puts a level of fear in you. And then questioning if I'm worthy of it too became another issue.
Yes, you are.
Girl.
I done broke down. I ain't the one to do the Facebook crying on live or nothing like that.
Oh, why not? Oh, come on. It's so believable.
I was talking about those folks like, why you get on live crying?
I be talking about them too, so don't do it.
Hell yeah.
But I promise you, I really like the emotion behind it is just like, it's kind of unreal and surreal and stuff. And I feel like it's like, I'm looking around like, is this really happening, or what do I need to be protective of, or something like, so it's the self-doubt stuff, and that's something
that means it's worth it. That means it's worth it because you've put your blood, sweat, tears, your energy, your love, your passion, all of those things wrapped up into one thing. You're fearful of losing something, but as long as you still have that passion, that love, and that drive for what it is that you want to do, you'll do well at it. You'll do well at it. So I say congratulations.
In women to have, they call imposter syndrome, where you feel like that not worthy kind of energy or whatever.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about, because I went through a lot of that, where it's like a mix of like this grateful cry and then a mix of like, wait, what? Like it's this strange place. But I would say just embrace every single moment and know that you worked hard for this.
Hell yeah.
Hard for it, you worked for it. So you deserve this because you put in the effort to make it happen, and embrace it and enjoy every second of it.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I'm getting offline because y'all not gonna have me on here. I appreciate y'all. I will.
She said, "I just said I'm not crying online, damn it."
But I appreciate everything, and much success to each one of you, because I know between Nikki and her beautiful sweets that I wish I could get to taste.
God, I wish I could get down there.
And Denise, your phenomenal art that you put out, like it's a storyline that takes you from to and from. You know, like saying it's a whole it's a whole creation. It's not just, just this level work. It's deep. And to have that type of quality of work put out, and that's beautiful. It's beyond amazing. It's just beautiful work. So I'm proud of every one of y'all.
It's a phenomenal energy that just manifests. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be in the room with successful people who started with just a fucking idea and made it become more than just that. Like, I sit back oftentimes and I'm just like, let me have it. Let me have it. I need some. Let me have it. Let me have it. Let me have a little bit. Let me have a little bit. And I get it. And it's, it's empowering. So, like, I'm not making, 100 goddamn cakes this weekend, but it's empowering to see you make 100 fucking candles. It's empowering for Denise to it's empowering for me to watch Denise check out her social media and then boom, pop up with the fucking video. And I'm like, oh my God. I remember when she was in the little yellow room, like, and it was just a thought, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's the most motivating and it's the most empowering thing. And, like, I'm just grateful to be able to be a part of y'all's lives in a certain way, to where I get to witness these amazing things. So we are all well deserving of the blessings that are coming into our lives because we fucking work hard to get to that point.
And you're not greedy. You're not greedy. You want the next person to succeed just as much. And that's what it is. That's
why it works.
Yeah.
That's why it works.
Yeah. So you ladies, I got golf balls to hit tomorrow.
Yeah, I gotta go.
I got
good night, everybody. We'll see y'all next
golf course. Y'all take care. I will see y'all next week.
God, and make sure y'all drop your links on the Facebook page too. Make sure you drop your links on the Facebook page.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll be same time, same place next week, 8:05 next Tuesday. All right, good night, everybody.
Y'all be good.